I'm on a seafood diet. When I see food, I have to eat it.
Tinder Misadventures, part number 1, Seafood Surprise, by Stupid Internet Fart. That is definitely a choice of username that you could make. I think I already have an inkling of what this story's about anyways, right? I think we all do. So after years of listening to ReddX, I've decided to throw my story out there for the internet cringe connoisseurs to feast upon. Honestly, there are more of them than I thought. Cast lists aren't necessary. TLDR is at the end. Let's just get this show on the road. Hey, that's pretty succinct. I like that. Tinder is hell. True?
How dare you!
That hasn't stopped me from bludgeoning myself against the towering wall of losers that people swear Prince Charming is hiding amongst. Prince Charming? I assumed OP was a dude. Now I'm learning differently. I thought the seafood surprise was somebody's fish cave. But it seems like OP's a lady trolling for dudes. You're not talking bad about yourself like that, are you, OP? Is this all in my head? What's going on right now? I do realize that Tinder probably isn't the ideal place to find a real relationship, but I remain optimistic for a reason that I can't fully explain. Hope floats, man. Maybe it's just for lack of anything better to do. Perhaps it's fear of dying alone. Jesus. The people and experiences have ranged from lackluster to outright horrifying. And to start this series off, I will chronicle one of the deepest mental scars for the edutainment of any and all internet strangers. Given hindsight, the signs were all there. I should have bailed, but I tried to power through. And I came away with a true tale of terror. And you didn't even get a stupid t-shirt. This one is gonna get heavy, I'll tell you that much. Mental scars are the ones that I fear the most. They don't heal, truly. But I guess we're in it now. It all started with the swipe, as these things often do. The profile was fairly nondescript, as I recall. A bio that was clearly copy-pasted from r/Tinder, and 3 or 4 photos that made it seem like he was someone who knew how to have fun. Honestly, that goes a long way on Tinder. If you're smiling a genuine smile, you will get more swipes. As OP says, he was smiling, despite his teeth looking a bit worse for the wear. Red flag number 1. He was a bit chunky, but seemed comfortable with himself. I'll let that one slide. Those are both things that do go a long way for me. Smiling and being comfortable with yourself. I think that's a good way to judge. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Okay. I didn't give the swipe very much thought, honestly, beyond that, but we did match, and he slid directly into the messages. First match he had in a while. He's a thirsty boy. His first message was a play on my first name. He said, he wanted to wake up to the crack of dawn, or something like that. Yeah, not the first time I've heard it. Won't be the last. That's what those sort of names are always like, right? There's 3 jokes that you'll just hear throughout your entire life every time you introduce yourself to anybody. But you laugh politely despite yourself, and you hope that it might be a good icebreaker. Yeah, this dude might be a fuckboy, but maybe he was just taking a risk to break the ice. I wanted answers, so I decided to dig in and see what he was really about. He introduced himself as Dean. Dean? Oh no. Oh no. It's happening again! The conversation was largely uninteresting until I mentioned that I'm a baker for work. This led into a long diatribe about how he was a trad alpha male that was looking for a woman who was worth the effort to take care of. That's the opening line? What do you do for work? I'm a baker. Oh, well, I'm a trad alpha male. I want to keep you barefoot and pregnant behind the stove. and Andy's gonna begrudge her for it. You need to run, OP. I don't know what the hell you're doing. He claimed, I'd be a great mother, see?
Because of my ability to cook.
And then went on to describe
How cute our kids would look.
no, dude, no. You are well past your quota of red flags at this point, sir. Cut and run. I stopped responding to him, as you should, and let him continue to spin his wheels for a while. He did continue on for much longer than would normally be socially acceptable, but I thought maybe he was just nervous. Nah, you don't make excuses for him, okay? There's no excuse for all of that. Eventually, he caught the hint that I was starting to disengage completely. Honestly, I should have followed through with that ghosting. Well, there's one thing we can agree on. But he did show contrition and apologized, so I let the interaction continue. Yeah, that's how they get you. They just say, I'm sorry preemptively, and you're like, aw, he might actually be sorry. He's not. He managed to keep his human mask firmly affixed after the almost ghosting. He was remarkably good at acting like a genuine person. This is why they say, like, when someone shows you who they are, just believe them. We talked about our life and experiences for around a full month before deciding that we probably should meet up at some point. During that month, he wasn't pushy or weird. Dean had taken the unspoken hint and remained on his best behavior. But for how long, though? How long before the mask comes off? Once a possible date was agreed on, he jumped at the chance to take the lead in deciding where we were going, but then mentioned that he didn't have a car and needed to be picked up. Oh boy, here we go again. If you can't take us to the place you've decided on, you don't get to decide. Oh, Jesus. OP says, I sighed. We all did. It may be that trad alpha males have better things to do than
Driving a car. They have people for that sort of thing.
barefoot, pregnant people.
When he decides to let her out of the kitchen, that is.
Obviously, that's all hyperbole. I think. I hope. This is already fairly well written. I'm super eager to see where this all goes, man. So, yeah, I should have run. I know that I should have run. Yeah, I guess I won't tell you that anymore. That's fine. But remember what I said about hindsight? Stupid me agreed to pick him up. I asked where we were going, and he insisted that
I was in for a surprise because we were headed to his favorite restaurant.
McDonald's, Hooters, Burger King. How bad could it be? I just shrugged and decided to go with the flow. I spent a good few hours getting ready on the day of our date. I wasn't particularly eager to impress Dean, but it had been a while since I was able to have a night out on the town, and I decided to make the most of it. I mean, you could do that without any of Dean's involvement, just so you know. I showed up about 15 minutes early to the date, which is something that I do often. I take the time to decompress and relax and maybe even second-guess myself. Lord, how I wish I would have second-guessed myself a little bit harder on this day. I mean, the time to do that was the first day that you met him. But yeah, then I guess he gaslighted you into believing that he was somebody else for a month. So I suppose I can see how you would eventually agree. So the 15-minute wait flies by, and I finally decided to roll up in front of the ramshackle house that Dean occupied. It looked more like a flop house. The yard was dead where it wasn't completely overgrown. The roof was missing more tiles than not, and there was a curious amount of children's toys strewn around. This is very ominous. I don't like it. At least it's not the other Dean that we know, right? Because this is definitely not the sort of squalor that Dean likes to live in. The Chris Trucker Dean, I mean. OP continues, Dean hadn't mentioned any kids, regardless of the red flag parade that was marching before my eyes. I figured I was already here. Might as well give the guy a chance. So I leaned on the horn to summon Dean. There was no response. Maybe I have the wrong house. Maybe I've been catfished. Maybe I should just go home. Yes, I should have just gone home. I didn't, though. Yeah, I get it. Sunk cost fallacy. We're already here. We might as well see. Instead, I got out of the car to go and knock on the peeling paint of that front door while saying a small prayer that I wasn't kidnapped and sold off into white slavery. Jesus. I guess that is a thing that some people have to worry about, isn't it? I hadn't considered that at all. It's terrifying. As I slowly crept up the cracked walkway, the weeds reached up from every crevice. They were trying to hold me back from that door, but I persisted in my quest for dating mediocrity. You sure did, didn't you? I could hear the screams of children inside. Were these the ghosts of the future that I was dooming myself to? Feasibly. Regardless, I reached the door, and I knocked. A large Armenian woman answered the door. She was built like a refrigerator and about the hairiest woman you can imagine. She raised her upper lip in a sneer, her mustache bunching up enough to tickle the frontal cortex of any lesser being. Yeah, something I didn't think I'd read today. Thank you for that. Barev, she grunted, a few decibels too loud. Our town has a large Armenian population, so I knew that that meant hello. And Google confirms that. That's pretty cool. Hello, ma'am. I'm looking for Dean. We're supposed to go on a date tonight, I meekly explained. She grunted again, spun on her heels, and bellowed something that I won't even try to decipher. So Dean confirmed for Armenian, or is this his adopted mother? I'm interested. Presumably, she was calling Dean. I wasn't aware that he lived with his parents. As Mama Legbeard disappeared into the house, she had left the front door open. I realized that a small crowd had gathered next to the doorway. At least 5 dead-eyed children drinking a dark-colored liquid from bottles that they were clearly too old for, were muttering amongst themselves. Dark-colored liquid like Poopsie? Or like Johnny Walker? I waved a greeting, but they only retreated further into the darkness of that hovel. I wasn't sure what to do at this point, so I closed the door and walked back to my car. See, that is a very smart move. Some people would be like, that's an invitation in, maybe? Definitely don't go in there. Part of me wanted to just gun it down the street and make a break for it, seeking the comfort of my own relative normalcy. Yes, comfy time. I don't need any of this today. Let's just have comfy time. But I didn't gun it. Instead, I sat and I waited. I doom scrolled on my phone for around 30 minutes before debating if I should knock again. I didn't want to knock, so I leaned on the horn instead. I was giving him 5 more minutes. If he wasn't there by that point, then I would just take myself out for a nice meal. Like I said earlier, you don't need him. Don't even wait the 5 minutes. Get while the getting's good. That probably would have been the more enjoyable option anyways. I guess hindsight's 20/20, man. 5 minutes passed, and I turned the key in the ignition. What a waste of time. What a bunch of bullshit. I shifted the car into gear, cranked the wheel to pull off the sidewalk, when suddenly, Dean flung the front door open and waddled towards my vehicle. I didn't feel any relief at this. He was at least 50 pounds heavier than he was in his Tinder photos. He's a hungry boy. If it looked like he put any effort into actually getting ready, I might be more understanding about the situation, but it looked like this dude had just rocked up out of bed. It wasn't just his hair that was disheveled. He wore striped pajama pants, stained and threadbare My Hero Academia t-shirt, and the rattiest pair of slip-on Vans that I have ever seen. Is My Hero Academia like the Attack on Titan of this Dean? This is just a Dean from a parallel universe? What is happening right now? Again, I should have hit the gas. Should have driven myself right into a telephone pole. Any EMT that came to pick me up would be a far better alternative, even if our date was just to the emergency room. That's levels of desperation I ain't never heard of. But you do make a strong point, I will say that. Instead, I just stared in shock as this pig man wandered towards my vehicle and let himself in. I just love the way you constructed that sentence. The car lurched to the passenger side as he plopped down, clearly out of breath from the short trip down his walkway. His heavy breathing carried distinct notes of halitosis, and that fetid breath only combined with the scent of unwashed, rotting ballsack. As the air he displaced from the seat started swimming around the car. Oh my god, don't breathe, OP. It's the particulate. It is Chris Trucker from a parallel dimension, dude. What the hell? I was speechless. This was not the date that I had signed up for. My stare continued as Dean began his rambling introduction.
Hey, Don, sorry to make you wait. I had a pretty crazy night last night with my gaming crew.
Gaming crew. Oh, man. You can just say the boys. You don't need to be that specific.
I did set an alarm for our date, but I usually don't wake up until my mom starts yelling at me.
Aren't you guys going to dinner? Isn't this like the evening time? You don't have a job, do you, Dean?
It's good to make a woman wait anyways. They do it to us, so why shouldn't guys do it right back?
He chortled. Oh my god, dude. Get out of the car. Just tuck and roll. I could not do this. Words were still unable to escape my lips. Instead, the only sound that came out was similar to that girl from The Grudge. Seeing that I wasn't going to engage with all of that, Dean shifted topics. See, he is like slightly perceptive. He knows that this talk makes you uncomfortable. He's just trying to roll it out again to see if it, for some reason, is okay in person. I don't get it.
Oh, my bad. I probably shouldn't reveal all of my dating secrets. Tonight, I'll reveal a big one to you, though.
He paused, pointedly. Ew. Ew. I shifted my eyes to stare at the steering wheel instead. Yes, that's much more fascinating. He continued on.
The big secret is the place that I take all the girls on our first date. It's my favorite seafood restaurant.
Oh, hence seafood surprise. Now it's all clicking for me. How many first dates have you had, Chris? Not many. How many second dates have you had? Oh, 0. That's very interesting. I really didn't want to eat seafood. I really didn't want to be seen with Dean or even continue existing near him in any capacity. I mean, Space Laser is at the ready, but you might end up as collateral damage, OP. Sometimes, though, the social contract twists your arm about this type of thing, particularly if you're a woman who was raised to behave a certain way. I mean, it is a fair point. Some dudes react very poorly to being rejected, and yeah, now you're face to face. Now it's kind of too late almost, but I really don't want to say that. Just gun it. Don't explain. Wait, he's already in the car. God, push him out the door.
Oh shit!
Anything. All I had to say was, "Get the hell out of my car, you absolute wreck of a human being."
Get out of my car now!
And it all could have been over if I had just said that one simple sentence. But I didn't. Instead, I asked him to put on his seatbelt. Oh my God, come on. He whined, saying that seatbelts were for little beta bitches. Bro, it really is, Chris, isn't it? But I refused to be ticketed over an ego so fragile that a seatbelt could bruise it. I told him he could buckle it or get out. Unfortunately, he did decide to buckle up, and the cringe train rolled onward. I mean, it was kind of your roundabout way of saying I don't really want this date. And he knew that, and that's why he buckled up so the date could continue. Humanity really is a rich tapestry, isn't it? Dean barked out instructions while regaling me with all types of insider knowledge about
what women actually want and how they don't know what they want. And it takes a strong man to lead them to water and force them to drink. It's for their own good, you see?
Jesus. I guess it's now that this is a face-to-face interaction, he knows that you can't escape him. You can't ghost him in real life like you did on Tinder, so you have to sit here and listen to him spout whatever the hell this is supposed to be. All I could manage in response was a series of disinterested, oh, and okay, and Jesus Christ. He did not get the hint. I just wanted to melt away. Why was I in this situation? Why was I letting it continue? How could someone seem so normal and even perceptive online and then reveal themselves as such a complete mess in person? The signs were there, OP. I hate to tell you, all that's left to do now is ride this one out. I should have questioned him, but really I didn't have much to add to his monologue, since my own inner thoughts were now spiraling out of control, and I couldn't get a word in edgewise anyways. Maybe he could turn it around, and we'd have some nice conversation when we got to the restaurant. Yeah, totally. He's probably just looking for someone to help him become the best version of himself. Yeah, that's not how dating works. If this didn't go well, I told myself 1,000 times that I'd never find myself in another situation like this again. Isn't it funny how we lie to ourselves? It is funny, yes. All you can do once you live through it is look back and laugh about it. Anyways, eventually, Dean screeched for me to stop and find a place to park. I complied. I just didn't have the energy to argue. It might be because of the lack of oxygen. Throughout this 10-minute trip, my car had become inundated with Dean's stench. Imagine rotten sour cream, wrapped in a piece of moldy Havarti cheese and sprinkled with sweat from a mountain troll. Little did I know, that was not the worst of the night, though. Not by a long shot. Just try to convince him to take a bus on the way home. Be like, you know what's fun? You know what I find really sexy? Public transport. Finally snapping out of my daze, looked around to see the ultra-secret seafood restaurant that had only been talked about in hushed whispers. I'll give you a moment to guess for yourself what the place was. Not some well-kept secret, as he had implied. It wasn't some quaint hole in the wall. It wasn't even a fucking Red Lobster. We had just pulled up into the parking lot of a Long John Silver's. This is the worst seafood surprise. Worst seafood, period. Have you ever been to a Long John Silver's? Maybe. Have you ever been to a Long John Silver's by choice? Ew. It's seafood fast food, and it's just the worst quote-unquote food that you could possibly put into your mouth. I think we had one on base in Yokosuka, and yeah, I tried it once and never went back. I agree with this OP 100%. Long John Silver. So perfect. This can't be real life, we have just lost cabin pressure. We are heading directly into free fall. Finally, I found my voice. What the fuck is this? That's the first thing the milady says on the date. You're probably not getting a second date. Dean unabashedly said,
It's Long John Silver's. Duh. It's the best seafood in town by a long shot. The pricing's also pretty good, so you can eat as much as you want.
I really would prefer quality over quantity, if you please. God damn it. He continued barreling through, extolling the virtues of Long John Silver's, as I reluctantly followed him inside. No, let him walk inside. You get in the car. It's not getting better, especially not from here. He didn't bother holding the door open. Why would he? It isn't necessary, but it can be a nice gesture. The fact that you still even thought that was going to happen is just ludicrous to me. It's not even the remotest possibility at this point. Instead, he bounced up to the counter and started rattling off his order to the worker drone stationed at the register. It was a long order. He ordered enough to feed like 5 or 6 people. I thought maybe he was ordering for both of us until he turned and asked,
Did you want anything?
Damn it, dude. Yes, I do want something. Can we go to Red Lobster? Can we get some cheddar biscuits for God's sake?
The fam ain't eating cheddar biscuits, but this random broad is eating cheddar biscuits.
OP says I choked out a number representing one of their combo meals and tried to hand him $10. Well, he made a great show of refusing the $10, proclaiming that
a lady should never have to pay for her own meal.
The worker drone stared on, looking about as vacant as I felt. I think Dean expected the restaurant to start clapping at his chivalrous gesture. Oh my God, there were actually other people in there eating Long John Silver's? Instead, the drone did not clap and just went back to scrolling on his phone while I went off and found a place to sit. When Dean flopped into the seat next to me, I asked if he could please sit across from me instead. He ignored that request, extending a flabby arm across my shoulders, rubbing his putrid armpit on the shoulder of a blouse that I really liked, but later I had to burn.
Oh God, casualties of war.
This is terrible.
It's a first date. We should get close, you know. Get to know each other.
He drawled. Go and sit over there, Dean, or I'm leaving, I finally insisted. I have no idea how the date even got this far. You don't even look like your picture. His ego was hurt now. He rambled on about how
the picture was actually him. He just photoshopped it a little. And girls do it too. Why do these bitches on dating apps have to be so shallow? Probably just looking for a Chad to take them home and rearrange their guts.
God, that's so gross.
Women should be submissive, and that means not being choosy. They should feel honored that any man would deign to take them on as a responsibility.
Bro, are we living in like 1800 something? She'll never be your responsibility. I'm so confused by this mindset. He's like kinda white knighty, but also with some incel rage mixed in? Or is that vice versa? I'm really confused, man. Eventually, all I heard was a high-pitched whining in my ears as I had a Vietnam flashback to all the nice guys and neckbeards that I had run across during high school. It was the same speech that they all seemed to end up giving verbatim. I sat with my head in my hands, and he did not stop this auditory assault until our number was called. He fetched his food, came back to the table, made another trip, and then a third, until he flopped down across from me and said,
Yours is still up there if you want it.
Jesus Christ. You're painting such a picture in my head. I was ready to boil. I don't want it, Dean. I wanted to have a nice date, but instead I ended up at a Long John fucking Silver's with a big, fat, fucking catfish. I expected him to come right back at me with all the rage and fury of an incel scorned, but instead, he just walked up to the counter, brought the tray back, and began to ravage the meal that I had ordered. He's a hungry boy. It sounded like rhinoceros crap being sucked down a bathtub plug hole that had been severely clogged with pubic hair, which had been matted together by decades of coom spent on myriad anime waifus. You're a waffle stomper, I see. God, dude. I covered my ears. I fumed. I wanted to cry, but I would not allow this creature to break my will. Yeah, that's exactly what he wants. As soon as you start crying, he gets an erection. I should have said it out loud. I hadn't said more than 20 words during this entire date. I wasn't about to start talking now. Besides, Dean seemed perfectly happy to just hoover up every speck of greasy fried seafood in relative silence. All I could do was sit and glare. My stare had turned into a glare, and there is a subtle difference, but I don't think that Dean was equipped enough to detect that shift. For minutes on end, I simply watched the spectacle unfolding before me. I would have filmed it, bro. Farm some cringe, little social media clout, nothing wrong with that. He chomped, and he glorped, and he gobbled until he had decimated everything that lay before him.
Augusto, sweetheart, save some room for later.
Then he sat back and unbuckled his belt while patting his engorged stomach. Disgusting. Just no shame whatsoever. First date, bro? You just laying all your cards on the table like this? Seems like you really enjoyed that, OP says sarcastically as she gets up and starts heading to the car. Dean jiggled after me outside like a very overfed and very stupid puppy. Again, I said nothing. I got in and started the car. OP doesn't say a lot, do she? When she does, it's very to the point. Brevity is levity, as they say. But yeah, you need to have a hard conversation. I don't know how much it'll help, honestly. He'll never learn. Are we gonna cut to 3 years later when they're married because OP didn't say anything? Come on! More outbursts, it's fine. If one didn't work, you go bigger with the next one. So OP gets in and starts the car, and right as I was gonna peel out and let him walk off that greasy feast that he had consumed, Dean wrenched the door open and butt slammed into the seat. As he did, he let out a rather large fart and started giggling like a child.
Good thing I didn't let that one rip in the restaurant.
He chuckled. I was not amused. Yeah, just let it rip in my fucking car, you goddamn abomination. My patience had been stretched to its breaking point, but still, I did not say so. I was simply ready for this dumpster fire to be over with. Surely the worst of our interaction was over now, right? We could just part ways and never speak again, right? I never expected that my poor car would be left with one more souvenir on that fateful night. Something far more disgusting than Dean's stench. I can't even imagine. I'm on the edge of my seat. We pulled out and bounced down the road. The windows were promptly rolled down, which I suppose Dean took as an invitation to continue his butt orchestra. He'd fart and laugh every couple of minutes. I can't begin to fathom the reason. Either he's completely given up like I have, or he's trying to rebuild bridges in the worst way possible. I hate to tell you, OP, but he's given up long before you got on the scene, okay? Regardless, I sped down the streets. Freedom was calling my name. I just wanted to get this guy out of the car so I could disinfect, sanitize, deodorize, and cleanse not just my car, but myself as well. Yeah, but some stains, they never truly wash out, do they, OP? We were in the home stretch. Another minute or two, and we would be rid of each other. Then I noticed that Dean had gotten very quiet, his face turning a strange shade of green. I thought he was gonna throw up, but it was even worse than that. Oh no. As we headed down his street, I hit a speed bump. The jolt must have stirred something in Dean because he let out another fart. This one sounded different from the others, however. Oh no. It was low and wet. It sounded like a choked blast from a tuba that had been stuffed to the brim with congealed mayonnaise. Don't say it. Don't say it. If you don't say it, then it's not actually real. Dean did not chuckle like before. Instead, his face shifted from green to a blushing red. I slowly looked over at him, and the smell hit me. Rancid, greasy, sick people poop. The kind of poop that comes out of a sick and dying person right before they kick the bucket. We all know those poops. Why did he eat so much grease? Not that he really could have turned it around, but god damn, not like this. Not like this. My eyes widened as realization dawned on me. I started to scream all of the frustration that had built up over the night right into Dean's stupid fat face. What I said wasn't really words. It was pure emotion. A screech of incredulity, pain, confusion, and of course the disappointment that I'm sure his mother felt every single day of her life. I don't think that sound could even be replicated. Finally, she's letting the hate flow through her. We were still down the street from his house, maybe another 50 yards away, but instead, I mashed the brakes and continued slamming him with a nonsensical torrent of emotion. Here we go. That's what it takes, huh? We all have our breaking points. Apparently, OP's is just a lot further back than anybody else. Dean wasn't gonna sit around for the nonsensical torrent of emotion. Instead, he fumbled with the door, let himself out of the car, leaned back in to tell me he had a lovely time. Before I gave him one more resounding, hate-fueled, fuck off! And so he did. But at what cost, OP? But at what cost? I love that he leaned back in. He's like, maybe I could still salvage this. Oh, it's ambrosia. I watched him waddle his way back home, the greasy brown stain on the back of his pants only growing with each step. I looked down into the passenger seat. It would never be the same again. Yeah, that's grease stains. That's hard to get out. I hate to go into any more disgusting detail, but suffice it to say, there was splashback. The diarrhea fountain had stained not just the bucket, but it had spurted up the back of the seat as well. Bro, how far up the back of the seat? That has some velocity to it, bro. I'm surprised he didn't get the back seat as well. Jesus. I cried. Honestly, yeah, what else would you do in that moment? She just wanted to have a nice time. God damn it. I really do hope you find better out there on Tinder. But yeah, in order to do so, we gotta pay close attention to those red flags, right? So OP cries, sitting there in that disgusting car. I had a long, ugly cry with the windows still fully down. Probably just get out of the car, that's fine. I considered approaching Dean's mother for money to get my car reupholstered, but given the state of the house, I'm not sure she had much to give on behalf of her son, even if by some miracle she was willing to do so. No, this was my problem now. I finished crying. I drove home. I spent weeks having to stare at that stain, but eventually I was able to buy a completely new seat, quote unquote, new used seat from the junkyard. No more ghost Dean sitting passenger and laughing at his own honking asshole. Sitting co-pilot and laughing at his honker donkers, if you will. Is this whole thing like a giant reference to Chris Trucker? OP does proclaim to be a ReddX fan. It's a curious thought, that's what I'll say. I'm still amazed at how this specimen managed to lure me into a date while I was far too passive. I'm gonna mark that down as inexperience. Does happen. I'll be much more bold in the future. I did tell myself that I'd never get on Tinder again after this experience. It is by far the worst interaction that I've had with another human being ever. But eventually, the allure of online dating called me back, and I do have even more stories to tell, but those are tales for another day. Thanks to ReddX. If he reads this, you're very welcome. Please subscribe to him on YouTube if you haven't, and I will see you again next time, my little Tinderlings. Dawn. TLDR, after a terrible date, trad alpha male Tinder guy pooped in my car. There you go again. Brevity is the soul of wit. But reading the TLDR is not half as effective as reading the whole story. There was pain, there was suffering, there was property damage. Maybe a lawsuit is in order, but like OP said, I mean, what can she really take from the guy that he hasn't already taken from himself? I'm gonna reach out to this OP. I'm gonna ask some hard questions, and hopefully we'll be able to get some more content like this, because this is insanely delicious. Even if the other dates weren't as bad, just tell me. Just tell me, because the way that you write it is wonderful, and I want to hear more.
Ooh, what's that there in your belly button, huh? You got some gold in there, do ya?
Welcome back to r/DatingHell, everyone. This is the continuation of Tinder Misadventures. If you missed the first video, that link in the description as usual. Part number 2 is named Belly Button Boy. Which video did we hear about this recently? And I was like, that can't be a thing. Yeah, it confirmed to be a thing. Welcome back to user stupid internet fart. It seems like ReddX enjoyed the last story that he narrated, and people here seem to want more. Far be it from me to deny you that all too enticing hit of cringe, so we'll get after it again today. Before we do though, I'd like to invite you into my head. It might help explain my reaction, or lack of one, to the previous dating nightmare. I was young. I was raised by alcoholic parents, and I was taught that speaking up about anything only brings trouble. Jesus, that got dark quick, fast, in a hurry. I'm sorry I had to go through that, OP. I definitely did enjoy the first story, but with this added information, maybe I'd look at things in a new light if I went back and read it again. OP continues, I don't need pity. I've been to therapy and moved past it, for the most part. It's simply to shed some light on why I remain so passive throughout these events. Truth be told, this series of strange and awful dates slowly helped to bring me out of the shell that I had built for myself. So it was all happening for a reason, I guess, but we aren't quite there yet. There is something to be said for going through tribulations and eventually finding your power. I do get that. So Dean was the worst date with his seafood surprise, but he wasn't the first date that I subjected myself to from Tinder. No, that honor belongs to Ben, the belly button boy. Well, Ben definitely has some proclivities, doesn't he? Cast lists are unnecessary, TLDR is at the end. Now let's get the cringe train rolling. Ben's profile wasn't very intricate. A single line about wanting something meaningful, which doesn't hold much water for me anymore, but I don't know. I was 18 and naive. Some might also say that I was fairly shallow. In one picture, Ben was drinking a natty ice. In another, he had on a backwards hat.
Pardon me, whoa.
I was close to swiping left on yet another bro dude and carrying on, but then I got one look at Ben with his shirt off, and I was hooked. This is a Chad fishing scenario, is it not? What are you talking about, bro? Well, maybe it's best to not judge a book by its cover. I don't know. But it seems like you had him dialed in and then you went back on it. Because you're like, oh my god, he's got a six-pack.
Oh, six-pack.
Sometimes we reap what we sow. I don't know what to tell you. It might be a catfish, but for a body like that, ooh, I was more than willing to take my shot. Ben out here killing it on Tinder. What is this? Suffice to say that Ben was a gorgeous human being. I should have been looking more than skin deep though, because Ben had some deep, dark secrets.
Undercover belly button boy.
He did match with me though, and I was super flattered. We had a meandering conversation. I learned that he loves his mom and is absolutely terrified of horror movies. Those things will come into play a bit later. He didn't seem to have much to say that was interesting or clever, but I let it all slide. Ben's abs or blinders, a 3-pack on each side. I gotta at least give you this much, OP. You are keeping it real, you know? I guess that's hindsight in play, but you're like, yeah, I mean, I was mostly in it for the 6-pack. And I guess that's okay if you're aware of it. We value authenticity around here. It's the people that are like, oh, I'll find some other superficial reason to say I'm interested. That's the type of stuff I can't stand. Anyway, continuing on. Ben seemed to push for a meetup rather fast, which usually made me go ghost in the few Tinder conversations that I'd had before, but I thought to myself that now I was finally ready for an actual date with an internet stranger. It's about as appealing as it sounds most of the time. Maybe he was way more interesting in person. I mean, he was interesting, but not in the way that I'd hoped. If he can't do it in text, what makes you think he could do it in person? I guarantee Ben's got the personality of a rock. Anyways, OP says the fact that his body was chiseled from granite turned flesh had nothing to do with my decision. Again, isn't it funny, the lies that we tell ourselves?
I mean, it's alright, like...
Actually, yeah, sorta. So basically you are only admitting this to yourself in hindsight. Okay, noted. Ben wanted me to come over to his place, and stupidly, I agreed to do so. We'd only been talking for about a week, and now I was going to deliver myself to his front door. Ben, big fuckboy energy. But OP don't care. Walk right into the wolf den and hope for the best? God, I swear, I would love to shake the living shit out of my past self. But I truly didn't know better at that time. Come on, at 18, you seen some stuff, you heard some stuff, right? Maybe she's like ultra sheltered. But no, her parents are alcoholics. They probably didn't give a crap. I don't mean to dissect this so openly, but yeah, maybe the comment section could shed some light on it. OP tries to convince herself maybe we would actually watch some Netflix and chill. Could he actually be looking for something meaningful? Oh man, it's like a train wreck in slow motion, isn't it? A dumpster fire I can't find my way out of, and I love it. Ben's place was in a lower middle class section of the LA outskirts. At the time, I thought it looked pretty busted, but compared to some of my later encounters, it wasn't the worst house. Sorta nondescript and uninteresting, but well-maintained, much like Ben himself, I suppose. Yeah, people look like their dogs, why not look like their house? I scoped it out for a few minutes. Surfboards on the porch, a few potted plants, a bench seat out front. It seemed very normal. So I collected myself, headed up to the door, and knocked. I like that you scoped that out though. She did the same thing on her date with Dean. So good ritual to have, I'll say. Ben answered, and yeah, he was all smiles. He lifted my arm above my head, and I gave him a little twirl. After a wolf whistle, he commented that he'd like to see something that showed off a bit more of my midriff. I mean, already, even without the belly button thing, it's kind of red flaggy, but she's into it, I guess. He gestured for me to show him my stomach, and I did. I didn't mind. I put work into it. A strong body starts with a strong core. Again, OP being really real right there. It's like, yeah, got some abs too. Check this out. Still a little bit creepy, but maybe this is just gym culture. I don't know. So yeah, Ben seemed satisfied. Maybe a little bit more than that in hindsight. His eyes devoured me. But he was a hunk, so I didn't mind. Really do be like this sometimes. His predatory nature would soon be revealed to me, but I had no idea what I was in for quite yet. Instead, I let him scoop me up into a hug before he invited me inside. This is the weirdest, lamest, most low-effort first date I think I've ever seen. Come over to my house and we'll bang it out. Okay, I guess. Ben's house was sort of bohemian. Lots of incense holders and dream catchers. Yeah, definitely not the sort of things that I'd pick, but he was a stoner surfer bro dude. Yeah, I don't really believe in things, but I'm totally spiritual. Oh, okay. Maybe all this stuff was just evidence of a more sensitive side to Ben. I asked about some of the knickknacks, just trying to initiate idle conversation and maybe dig past the surface level. I don't know if there is anything past the surface level. This is dense. It did work a little bit though. He ended up telling me about spending time in India. He seemed to harbor a lot of disdain for the country, said people were shitting all in the streets, and he couldn't find clean water anywhere. It's like Mexico with a lot more poop and like a few less beheadings.
What the hell is even that?
Why even go to India? I don't understand. OP laughed. The line wasn't that funny, but the laugh also kind of served to diffuse some of the tense atmosphere that had been created after endless jabs about everything from the caste system to the dirty street food and everything in between. Dude, some of the dirty street food actually looks pretty good, you know? You're in a new land, why not try out a new culture? You wanted to get out of your box, so get the hell out of it. So Ben didn't overly focus on the lack of attention from women, but it was mentioned, and I made a mental note. Ben definitely had some entitlement issues, and with all that rage simmering below the surface, it could be an explosive combination. I made a note to mind my P's and Q's and shifted the subject, asking what he had planned for Netflix. Yeah, that good old get-out-of-jail-free card only works once, doesn't it? He led me to the couch without answering and handed me the remote. I'll leave that up to you. I've got to finish preparing the feast. Oh, feast sounds pretty good. Surely he's not overstating it. He's gonna be like, I made ramen. You want me to throw an egg in it? Oh! There had been a couple of red flags so far. Yeah, you could say that. But nothing that would make me go screaming into the night. At least, not yet. I hit Surprise Me on Netflix. And Ben came back into the room with a platter covered in fish. Well, there's your surprise again. Another seafood surprise. What the hell is happening? Pair that seafood surprise with the lies we always tell ourselves line that OP has said twice now, and I'm thinking maybe I'm in a coma on a fishing boat in Alaska. I had a tragic accident with a crab trap, and now the crew is trying to reach me in my subconscious coma mind. Or maybe it's just a Reddit post. So yes, Ben had sardines on that plate. Even before the seafood surprise from part 1, I wasn't really a huge fan of fish, Ben saw the look on my face and presumed that he should explain his dining choices, and I really wish that he hadn't. I try to eat sardines and pineapple, almost exclusively because I'm load maxing, he said with a nod. Dude, he's a gym cell incel. What the hell is this? What has science done? I'm thrown for a loop right now. I thought load maxing was just a weightlifting term, and I sort of just nodded right back at him, but my face must have still looked quizzical because he continued. You know how some male porn stars can shoot like the biggest loads of jizz?
I don't even want to know what the fuck I just walked in on.
Oh my god. We're right into it, aren't we? I guess it's been a while, but I wasn't ready for all this. This happened super fast.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Ben continues, I think that's like super hot, and I want to be able to do that, but like also have it taste good too. Not that I'm gay or anything. I don't eat my own cum like some redacted, but Jesus. I just think it's super sexy when a girl is enjoying herself. I'm taking selenium supplements too, and it's totally working. What are you talking about, Ben? I can fill up a whole shot glass now. Before I started load maxing, it was like this sad little poot of semen, but now I'm shooting ropes to the stuff. Oh, I might show you later, if you're lucky. He's just trying to live out his hentai fantasies. What is this, man? Why can't you just do all those things but not mention it, you know? And then see if it makes a difference. I don't think you need to explain it to everyone. I never wanted to have this conversation. OP continues. I frowned and shook my head. But I don't think he even took much notice of that, as he went to work obliterating those smelly, oily little fishies. I didn't speak up, but like any sane person, I knew at this point that I was wrong about my assessment, and it was time to make my escape. There you go, get up, walk out the front door. I had a wonderful time, bye. However, due to the constraints of the social contract that we've all unwillingly signed, I'd need to bide my time and find the proper strategy. I definitely didn't want to have this jizzed up meathead explode in my face.
This is my kingdom come.
If you'll excuse the pun. It's a double entendre, you see. You don't just declare war, you know? You prime the press, you square things with the UN, you make up your reasons. I think that's a quote from Peep Show.
You prime the press, you square the UN, you make up your reason.
The Surprise Me movie that I can't remember rolled on, and he offered me the fish plate. Remember what I said about low effort dates? It's just a plate of sardines.
I opened the can, you want some or not?
It's even worse than the ramen. I politely declined. My brain was occupied with the perfect exit, and hunger is a decent motivator. Yeah, aside from every freaking thing else that's happening. When you combine that with the unpredictable meatball that I was seated next to, I should have been launching off that couch like a rocket. Truth be told, I should have just blitzed the front door and not bothered to explain myself. He might get upset, but I would be safe in my car. But then, I wouldn't have this story to share. Please don't put yourself in physical danger in the name of stories, okay? I'm never going to advocate that. You probably could have still shared it. It would have just been way shorter, you know? And that's the thing that I said to do in the beginning. You just run. It's time to go.
Run, bitch! Run!
So, eventually, the sardines all went to meet Poo Poo Jesus. What the hell is that? Tickle time and poo-poo Jesus watches you. And he leaned back on the couch. He snaked his hand onto my shoulder and pulled me backwards. I wasn't in the mood to cuddle, so I'd scoot away, and then he would inch closer. I hated every second of this awkward little dance, but the strangeness got turned up to 11 when I hit the edge of the couch, and he started running his oily, unwashed fish fingers around my belly button. He's got to be stoned right now or something, dude. Why wouldn't you wash your hands? This isn't normal behavior, okay? I squirmed away from him and stood up. I told him that, yeah, this was all getting to be a little bit too much too soon. But Belly Button Boy wasn't about to let me escape that easily.
Woof, where are you going?
Ben stood up in that same moment and blocked the walkway to the front door. Boy, this is getting really real. Maybe pull the pepper spray out? Well, I don't know. California seemingly will prosecute you for anything at all. Can't even kick people in the nuts no more.
Babe, that's assault. You're coming with me.
You don't understand. He tried to grab my purse.
That's my purse! I don't know you!
So at this point, blocking the door so OP can't exit, Ben asked me to please sit back down, while at the same time guiding me by the shoulders. Guiding is in quotes there. This is creepy, dude. He was far too forceful for my liking. It was a gentle pull into his arm, a gentle push back into the couch, but I mean, this was our first date. I've seen things like this before, between my own parents. This toolbox is one bad argument away from throwing a cinder block at the back of my head. I took a deep breath and used my go-to tactic of avoiding conflict at that time, which was submission. God, that is like a knife to the gut. I hate to see it happen, but you have laid out your reasons. I do like that OP is perceptive enough to be like, oh, you're much too physical, because from the first day, it's only downhill from there. If he feels like it's okay to do these things on the first meeting, that's gross. OP says, as I sat back down onto the couch, he dropped to his knees. Oh no. I was expecting the worst to happen, but instead he started to baby talk me, which is still pretty fucking bad. I thought he was gonna use his mouth. His fish hole kissing your fish hole, you know what I'm talking about? Should have phrased it that way. And then we got the baby talk, which is just gonna be awful too, I think. I think I am gonna shift him to the beard voice now. I don't want to taint the surfer dude voice with all this.
Does little Donnie want to see baby Ben's tongue? I can wick your little belly button.
Ugh, keep your fetish away from me!
That sounds awful.
Then maybe you could go play with something else. My load is about to explode.
There goes my spine. Just rocketing through the roof. Oh, man. This has been so bad. The load maxing was bad, but the baby talk is worse, man. My woad is about to explode. Like Elmer Fudd, dude. I still wonder if he meant for that to rhyme. It was effective, in a way. I still remember those words many years later. The 1,000-yard stare that I had adopted as my defense started to gaze through time and space, trying to find any reality that wasn't this one. Just because my body was stuck there didn't mean that my brain had to be, so I disconnected as much as possible. But even Terry Schiavo would take notice of the horrors that would befall me next. Come on, man, please don't do this, okay? Don't let no bad happen. I really hope that this doesn't end in the worst way. I might not publish the episode. I guess we'll have to read on and see. I suppose baby Ben, the belly button bully boy, took my silence and disaffected staring at the ceiling as consent. God. This has killed me in so many ways. Because he lifted my shirt enough to expose my belly button. The first thing he did was give it a really deep sniff before letting out a satisfied, "Oh, yeah." What? Was he looking for a good scent? A bad one? Was he just that excited to unveil the mysterious allure of a teenage navel? The debate rages on to this very day. Doesn't really matter much because he didn't stop at smelling it. Oh boy, he's gonna make a new fish hole, isn't he? This isn't gonna turn out great.
I don't like where this is going.
His tongue slipped into that umbilical scar and started to explore. Ugh, brand new sentence for sure. I never wanted this. Me either, OP. What's happening? I'm sorry this happened. This is assault. It seems silly and ridiculous in hindsight, but it's also like mind-blowingly terrifying. How did you ever get back on Tinder after all this? OP continues, I didn't consent at any point, but I didn't outright say no either. I've unpacked this experience with multiple therapists. I think what I remember most vividly was looking down and seeing his wet, oily fish lips. They were sucking on my stomach like my navel was the last source of oxygen on the planet. I recall seeing his tongue covered in desiccated and masticated remains of that sardine meal, fishing around for whatever the hell it was that he wanted. God. All he wants is to coom, and so you have to be subjected to these horrors, because he can't just act like a normal goddamn human being. He kept muttering to himself, oh no, between spelunking expeditions, weird shit like, "Oh, baby, whack your belly," and "Mama make Betty's pee-pee so hard." Oh. I hate everything about this. The cringe meter was redlining. We are there. This is unprecedented. Breaking new ground, trace amounts of science. And I hate it. I finally realized that Ben wasn't going to stop unless I made him stop. I told him that I had to pee and that he should please drink some water. I was hoping it might wash away some of the sardine leftovers if I really did need to come back. At this point, my plan was to bail out the bathroom window. It is legit, dude. You think it only happens in movies? Nuh-uh. Real life crazy too. That was until I got into the bathroom and I saw that the window was only about 6 inches tall. Dope. Just enough to air out some sardine and selenium-laden ploppers. Sardine poop, nasty. But it wasn't enough to do me any good. I must have stood in that bathroom for 20 minutes or so. There was no escape. If I wanted out, I would need to go through. Just as a reminder from the universe about that fact, every once in a while, I'd hear Ben let out a large belch. At least he was washing his fishy mouth out. I steeled myself and headed back into the living room. I lied that I had a text from my mom and I really had to leave, but Ben wrapped his arms around me and begged to finish our date. Again, pretty sure this qualifies as assault too. Unwanted hug to keep me from leaving. It's not a hug at that point. OP says, I could clearly smell beer on Ben's breath. Natty ice, whoa. Memories of dear old dad must have kicked in because I found myself agreeing to sit on the couch again. Jesus, there's a lot to unpack there, isn't there? I don't know that I'm fully prepared for that today. But it's okay, OP. Third time's the charm, right? You will yet escape his clutches! Ben continued rubbing his stale, beer-smelling mouth all over my stomach, except this time there was the added benefit of pauses to burp every so often.
Isn't that so funny? Doesn't that sound like an echo, Mama?
Mama? Oh no! My skin is crawling off. I truly did want to die in that moment. I think I speak for everybody here when we say, us too, OP. I had to find some way to at least pump the brakes, if not just bail out completely. I squirmed away from him, again. I told him that this was moving too fast, again. He didn't ignore me this time, so I suggested that we watch a new movie. This time I chose a Chucky movie. Either he would get scared and give me an out, or I would pretend to be scared and make the exit for myself. Or he'd just agree to switch the movie if you're scared. I gotta be real, OP, this plan's flimsy as hell. If I knew how Ben would actually react to that Chucky movie, I might not have taken this measure. The moment the movie started, Ben was immobilized. He had stopped trying to molest my belly button. All he did was apply a nervous death grip to the arm of the sofa. I asked if he was okay, and he insisted he was fine. He was not fine, however, and after the first on-screen murder, I looked over to see tears rolling down his cheeks. Oh, maybe there is some semblance of a human being in there. I kind of feel bad for him now too, but not really. This was a do-or-die situation, wasn't it? He wasn't outright, but yeah, he's definitely being pretty gross. This is not chivalrous or nice. It's forceful and aggressive and weird. OP decides that this is her moment. It was either act like a cold hard bitch or continue being assaulted. I asked incredulously, "Are you crying?" He nodded and started his whining baby talk, but he didn't follow me as I leapt from the couch. I called him a sissy and flung the front door open. Oh boy. I really hope Ben didn't take some drastic measures after this, you know? He laid himself bare. I'm sort of conflicted still, but OP has explained quite clearly that this was going in a bad way. I don't know if you needed to insult him, though. I quickly walked to my car. My brain had second thoughts, but I turned the key in the engine. I legitimately wanted things to work with Ben. I would have been mommy, whatever. But he didn't ask for consent at any point and was overly pushy about everything that he wanted. Yeah, okay, Ben's still a bad guy. I felt bad for him for a moment, but yeah. You reap what you sow, don't you? Well, I do feel bad about doing that to Ben and piling an unneeded insult on top of it. Oh, you admitted to it, that's good. I felt much more delight than despair in that moment. The situation was headed for a place that I didn't want it to go, and I was able to scratch and claw my way back to freedom. It is some poetic justice, isn't it? The belly button boy had unveiled his Achilles heel as a silly talking point, and I thanked my lucky stars that I was able to use that to my advantage. He could have flown into a rage over it, but he didn't. Yeah, like I said, this plan was super flimsy. The guardian angel on my shoulder was working overtime on that day. I have no doubts about that. Looking back, should I have called the cops and reported him? Yeah, probably. Instead, I just thanked my lucky stars and tried to move past it in my own way. Would the cops even have filed a report for that? I like to think that they would, right? Worst case scenario, they come and extract you from the bathroom and send you on your way home. But it is quite lucky that you were able to do it without any outside help. And so you would think that this would be the end of the tale. But there was a follow-up to the bad date. Remember when I mentioned that Ben was close to his mother? Yeah, maybe too close looking back. This is really weird. Well, she charged into battle in defense of her little belly button man. I answered the first time she called. Whew, I wouldn't make that mistake again. She accused me of abusing her special boy. She threatened me with everything from death to lawsuits. She slung every curse under the sun at me. After 5 minutes, I realized that I was trying to talk sense into a lunatic and blocked her number. You gotta know when to fold them, that's true enough. Belly button matriarch wasn't done with me yet though. I would get sporadic VoIP calls for weeks afterwards. She contacted my job to report me. Report you for what? She attempted to harass my mom and every other contact she could find. Yeah, I suppose that's the unfortunate part of social media. Damn, preach. I explained to everyone what had happened, and they all agreed that, yeah, she was completely unhinged. Luckily, it seemed like her harassment was completely confined to the internet. I went dark for a month, and I guess she found a new target. Ben wouldn't have trouble getting any more dates, even if he was a certified navel gazer. He wants to do more than just gaze. Maybe Ben should just put that into his bio, you know? I like belly buttons. And then people who think it's a joke, you sort them out. Some percentage will be willing to at least put up with it, if not even enjoy it on some level. You just gotta be real. You just gotta be honest. So it was at this point that I swore off of Tinder for the first time. This wouldn't stop me from meeting up with maniacs, though. My therapist says that I demonstrate a concerning amount of thrill-seeking behavior. Don't do that. And that these encounters are a manifestation of that. While I don't agree 100%, I still think I overanalyze and avoid uncertainty in a lot of other areas of my life. Maybe the comments could let me know how they feel about that diagnosis. You're definitely careful when you're engaging in risky behavior, but it is risky behavior. What do you want me to say? Your therapist sounds like a real one, okay? Also, speaking of therapy, in hindsight, I can absolutely see how that insane woman could have produced a self-absorbed, baby-talking dunderhead. Dunderhead? What are you, from the 50s? Gonna take your gal down to the malt shop? Ha! I cauliflowered his ear, bully! If you look at it through that frame, then the tale of Ben the belly button boy takes on a much more depressing tone. He's kind of like a modern-day Frankenstein, but he still does bear some responsibility for his actions. At least, that's what I tell myself when I start feeling guilty. That is completely fair, honestly. Just because his mother was the genesis of this doesn't mean that he's incapable of breaking the cycle. Maybe he does at some point in his life. I don't know, I feel a lot of different ways about this, but it is much more fun to just point and laugh and be like, haha, belly button boy. So, OP says I did manage to stay off Tinder for a while, but in our next installment, we're headed to Craigslist for a real treat. Dude, Craigslist? Come on, man. It's like you're trying to get Axe murdered. Be afraid. I am. Those are tales for another day, though. Thanks to ReddX if he reads this. Please subscribe to him on YouTube if you haven't. Heck yeah. And I will see you again next time, my little Tinderlings. Signed, Dawn. TLDR, lunatic lugnut baby talks my belly button with his fish lips. That does about sum it up, doesn't it? I really do feel bad for Ben in a few types of ways, but also, like I said, it really is up to him to break this cycle. At least learn how to function like a normal human being, but I don't know. They're all relatively young, aren't they? Young people are prone to make some stupid decisions, aren't they? God, I know I did. Truly, I am the wizard of all weenadry. Abracadabra. Janet's profile is a catfish, posted by user Weena Wizardry. I love that. Hey there, r/DatingHell. Boy, do I got a story to tell you all. This came in the last year from my regular voyages out into Singles Land. What a terrifying wasteland that is. Thankfully, I did find someone at the end of all that, so there is a wholesome ending, but let's be real. it isn't the wholesome endings that we're here to talk about. So we're gonna do a deep dive into the bleak landscapes of modern dating. I've seen it, man. Oh Lord, I've seen it, and it terrifies me. If anybody wants to read or narrate the story, like ReddX, Fatal Walter, Q-Star, whatever, feel free to reach out about it, and odds are good that I'll probably give someone the go-ahead. Am I the only one that's like watching every single day? Just like ready to jump in, reach out to an OP, be like, I saw your thing, it's readable. Can I do it on the channel? And OP thankfully said yes. They've graced me with their wiener wizardry. So without further ado, let's get into the bleak world of modern dating. And my God, a bleak world it certainly is. I mean, you gotta sort through the trash a bit. You gotta know what you don't want to find what you do want, or something like that. I met Janet on Tinder.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Gotta love Tinder, guys. Nobody is like the other girls there, and all the dudes there are posting pictures of the fish that they caught. I'm bi, I swing both ways, you know. Well, she seemed like a normal and unassuming person from her profile pictures. In fact, she seemed kinda nice. I swiped through them, ignoring that they were questionably grainy, thinking to myself maybe they were just taken on a low-quality camera and it was the best thing that she had to put up. I don't judge too harshly about these kinds of things. The one thing that made me think twice about swiping her, though, was the absolute absence of anything in her profile. Like, not a damn word. Usually people write about their interests or their hobbies or what they had for breakfast or make some jokes or their zodiac sign or whatever. But she didn't give me anything to go on. Not a word. Yeah, that's gonna be a no from me, dog. You can't even put the effort into writing a sentence about yourself. You ain't in it to win it. I'm not gonna waste your time. Please don't waste mine. You can have your crappy phone camera, but at least tell me something about yourself. Damn. So yeah, not exactly an open book, to be honest. I probably should have viewed this lack of information as my first red flag and stayed hella far away. Yeah, hella, bro. But truth be told, my dating profile is modeled after a ham sandwich. No, really. I have a picture of a ham sandwich as my profile picture, and I make sure to keep in character on that profile. So I can't exactly be too judgmental about the content of other people's profiles. Mine isn't exactly an honest and detailed representation of myself. It's a lure, using humor as a way to strike up conversation with other people. I decided to just swipe right on her and see if we'd match. That does sound kind of fun, actually. I want to RP as a ham sandwich on Tinder.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Then when it's time to meet up, I'll be like, oh, I can't. Somebody ate me. Turned me into poop already. Bye. Well, we matched sometime over the night. And when I opened Tinder back up, I was surprised to see that it had happened. And she left me a message. One word, lol. I mean, technically that's 3 words, but yeah. I don't know if that really counts. Fascinating input. I had definitely hooked this one, but with what little she was still opting to give me, I could tell that any conversation with this girl was gonna be like pulling teeth. Fortunately, though, I am a hobbyist dentist as well. You'll be a dentist. So I used my best pickup line on her. Hey, baby, you want to be the ham or the cheese? What does that mean? How do you answer that question correctly? I'm confused. She's just gonna say lol again, isn't she? Well, give it an hour or so, and she gets back at me with another lol. With an exclamation point this time, which makes it somehow better, maybe. For a second, I see those 3 dots and think, oh my god, she might actually say something else. Maybe I won't be the only one offering any input to this conversation after all. I'll get something back from her, which I can use to further initiate conversation. And we could talk about something real and substantial, you know? Like how human beings are supposed to converse. I was sitting on the edge of my seat in anticipation as I watched the typing graphic appear and disappear several times over. But after 10 minutes, those little ellipses disappeared for good. and nothing came through. I see very unsure of herself. After typing and then stopping typing and typing again for such a long period, you have to send something. Why are you doing this, Janet? But OP just says, whatever, I'll go look somewhere else. And I went back to swiping, forgetting about this match who had literally left me hanging with nothing to go on. Yeah, you could still do the one-word answer thing, just be like, cheese, I guess. Why is that so hard? That's not so hard. About an hour later, I get a notification and I take a little look-see. Well, Janet had sent me a message. For a second, I didn't think I'd check our discussion again. I figured it would be another lol, as if she hadn't already said that, and I would just close it out and continue my thirsty search, looking for someone to love me. At least for the night, you know what I'm saying? Oh, high five! No, we don't do that around here. OP's a good boy. He's looking for something meaningful, goddammit! We've heard it before. There's nothing like a little redundancy to set the mood, or lack thereof. Know what I mean? To my surprise, however, she actually did provide a whole sentence. A whole sentence! I was shocked. It said, "You seem nice, but I don't believe you're actually a ham sandwich." Very perceptive of you, Janet. In reality, I rolled my eyes, murmuring, gee, you think? But on the internet, you can say and do anything. I sent her back a sad face and said, "You must start be confused."
That's a good one.
Because, well, you know, I'm a dork, and the roleplay is part of the sell. A minute passed after she read it, then I got back another lol. And then she said, "No, really, you can't be a ham sandwich. Ham sandwiches can't send text messages. Send me a picture." Got him on the hook. I mean, yeah, you do, but at a certain point, you really got to decide if you even want him on the hook. Maybe cut the line and just move on with your day. You're not willing to participate me in this singular fanciful flight of whimsy? Then you're probably not gonna like what the rest of my life looks like, I'm gonna be honest with you. So we actually had us a little conversation going. And naturally, not knowing anything about what I looked like, but I knowing that something about her, it came as no surprise that she wanted to see just who it was that she had on the line. I was surprised that we had even made it this far at all, but I thought to myself, you know what? Sure, Janet, we can drop the facade and I'll get you a picture. I snapped a selfie and sent it her way. Another minute passed and I got back, "You're cute. Do you want to meet up?" I don't think they allow you to send pictures on Tinder. Are you guys texting now? Sure, that's fine. I'll roll with it. Hell yeah, I want to meet up. I wouldn't be out here on Tinder LARPing like a delicatessen menu item if I wasn't trying to meet people. Meet people, M-E-A-T? Oh no, he is the right one. I said, when and where, you name it. She got back to me with her address and said she'd be home for the rest of the night. Oh, Janet knows what she's looking for. Extra spicy sausage delivery. I guess OP's down. This was perfect for me. It was a Saturday night and I have the weekends off with nothing to do for the next few days besides go and see what this girl was really about and pray that she would be much more interesting in person. She'll be thousands of times more interesting in person, but 1,000 times 0 is still 0, right? I told her I'll be there. And I took me a shower, shaved real fast, slapped on some cologne, and hopped in that car to go and meet this girl. And I'm not gonna lie, I was excited. The hunt had been long and hard, and it hadn't yielded much results in the past couple of weeks, despite my delicious roleplay as a pork-related product. Did you ever consider that maybe the whole ham sandwich thing is complicating the whole situation? I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. If you're actually pursuing something, just be upfront and let them sort themselves out a little bit quicker. Whatever. Thankfully, the drive didn't take me too far out of my way. Janet didn't live very far from me, in fact. just the neighborhood over. So with all said and done, from the time I got that message to the time that I had arrived, it had only been about 45 minutes or so, and I was stoked to be there. I got out of my car at this dumpy little house that had seen better days. Peeling paint, graffiti on the trash cans, missing shingles, a collapsing column on the porch. I probably could have forgiven all of that except the collapsing column, dude. You've just sacrificed the structural integrity of your house. We're both going to be buried alive inside. I guess I can't judge too much. I mean, I lived in an apartment at the time, so anybody who actually owned a house was a high roller in my book. I paid as little attention as I could to the overgrown weeds and the yellowing grass and the broken concrete beneath my feet as I came up to a slouching porch that seemed to trail off to one side indefinitely, as if there was some great unseen weight trying to push it down into the dirt, and it had bent the wood into an odd and sad angle. Yeah, that unseen weight is the roof of the house. You need to not go in because I'm pretty sure that is considered a dilapidated and dangerous structure. But I guess OP does live through it, so maybe it turns out fine. It could have been decay, or it could have been a failure in construction. Of course, whoever had built it had either never heard of a level or structural support, one or the other. Like I said though, this girl owned a house, and that was something that I could only hope to aspire to at this time. So the integrity of the structure at that time was kind of far from my list of concerns. In retrospect, yeah, I should have chalked that up to red flag number 2, but I didn't. I adjusted the collar on my shirt, stuffed the bottle of wine I had picked up in the store under my armpit, and I knocked. I guess I can't judge too much either, OP. Sometimes your dong leads you to some dangerous places, doesn't it? Who hasn't been there before? I stood there for a few minutes, nothing happening, and I glanced over at an orange tabby staring at me on the decaying porch swing. It just stared at me like I was an idiot and a trespasser, and standing there without anybody answering the door, I certainly felt like both of those things. Sheepishly, I knocked again, but there was no response. I was about to give up when I looked for alternative methods of rousing the inhabitants. I glanced at the side of the door frame and there was a doorbell, so I pressed it. The door chime sounded tired, even from outside of the house, like it was just running out of juice. On the other side, I heard something rustling around and a husky voice declaring from somewhere in the depths of the house, "Hang on, I'm coming." Oh, you got the party started without me, did you? Jesus. Finally, success. The door flew open to reveal a rotund woman, much larger than what the photographs had promised my thirsty ass, with about 15 plus years seniority on the picture that Janet had used. See? See? This is the kind of stuff that you get when you prance around masquerading as a ham sandwich. The big girls, they're gonna come after you, and they're not gonna stop until they get you and turn you into poop. Tale as old as time, I swear. Janet leered at me through flubby cheeks, huffing down lungfuls of oxygen as if she had just run a marathon. As I reeled at the stinking bouquet of stagnant, ammonia-infused air pouring out from inside the house, I said, "Hi, I'm here to see Janet." I coughed and wheezed as some of it snaked its way down my throat and tickled my taste buds, almost provoking a vomiting response. In a throaty growl, this strange matriarch replied, "Are you the ham sandwich?" No, I think I have the wrong house. I glanced past her, into the house. For a second, I felt like saying, "Oh, sorry, wrong house." I was expecting someone else, and just running back to my car. Honestly, probably the play to make. But I had been out the end of a 2-year-long dry spell, and no punani, well, it'll do some things to a motherfucker. I was holding out hope, somewhere in my heart, that this was just Janet's roommate? Yeah, that's it. Never mind that she knew about my ham sandwich LARP. Somewhere in that house awaited the cute little girl that I had seen on the Tinder page. Well, I can't tell you why I said what I said next, but I said, yeah, I'm the ham sandwich. She let out a grunt and stepped aside, motioning me to come in. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No! God, please, no! No!
Going to a stranger's house for a date really does have to be like the most awkward thing in the world. Not only is it low effort, but it's also fairly dangerous. Like, you don't know what could happen next. OP continues, that place, my God, it was just a wreck. Everywhere there was garbage and toppled books and papers and wrappers and whatever the hell else you could imagine. Roaches and vermin swarmed about takeout boxes that littered the floor, their putrescent contents fulminating into a fine, spore-infused dispersal that left its moist sheen on everything that I came into contact with. Bro, I'm pretty sure you lost a couple years off your lifespan just by stepping in. It's time to go. 2-year dry spell or not, man, I'll pull myself off. That's fine. I stared into the blinking abyss of a sentient mold as it seductively undulated at me, and I wondered whether it might shoot up off the floor and skitter away the moment that the daylight streaking through the open door touched it. Oh, what fresh hell had I gotten myself into? I couldn't say, but I was thirsty. Oh Lord, was I thirsty. You still gonna do it? God damn!
That's nasty, man! Ow!
These levels of thirst are unprecedented. I guess it happens. I was willing to brave this degenerate desert of detritus in search of the Holy Grail into which I could, you know. That's not the Holy Grail, bro. That's a red Solo cup. You can find that anywhere. You don't want to do this, man. I'm telling you right now. Well, this large woman motioned to a couch and said, "Have a seat," and that she'd be right back. I assumed this meant she was going to go and rouse Janet from wherever she was and lead her to the front of the house. Oh, how hopeful I was at the thought of that promised delivery. My mind dwelled upon those lovely pictures that Janet had on her profile, that beautiful beaming smile, and while admittedly a bit absent-minded, she certainly seemed like a lovely person based on our brief interactions. Lol, you're probably not a ham sandwich, send a pic, now come bang me. It does seem meaningful, doesn't it?
Are you kidding me?
Lovely person. Come on, can't we just be honest? Be like, yeah, I wanted to bang out Janet, the girl in the pictures. Instead, I should have known when she chose to be the ham on the sandwich that we were dealing with a literal ham planet. Anyways, the large woman wandered off into the bowels of the den as I inched closer to the furniture and examined a large couch with torn cushions, coated in a light dusting of crumbs, presumably from fried foods and corn chips, judging by the look of it. I was about to take a seat, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Something animal inside of me screamed not to do it. As soon as you sit on that couch, OP, 15 rats are gonna jump out and start nibbling your toes. OP did end up listening to that instinct and soon realized why it was so strong. A closer study revealed something very unsettling about this particular piece of furniture. It was damp. And as I saw a cat walk up and lift its leg to spray all over one of the couch cushions, I soon figured out why the couch was juicier than most. The origin of that ripe ammonia scent had definitely been discovered, and I realized that it was not just the couch that was soaked in cat piss. The carpet made wet, squishing sounds as I tread on top of it. Oh god, dude. Cat lady dead. Is a cat lady dead? How did you let it get this bad? Why are you okay with it? Where's the litter box? Have you changed it anytime recently? I know the answers to all of these questions. I gingerly pressed my shoe down on the edge of the carpet where it turned into hardwood floor, and pressing, I could see little tiny piss bubbles bubbling out from the pressure. Oh God. How many cats does she have? Is it just one really incontinent cat? I'm horrified. For a second, I contemplated taking out my lighter and setting fire to this whole place and fleeing from the scene, but I don't know, I was still holding out hope for some reason. Come on, man. 2-year dry spell's no excuse, alright? From the back of the house, I could hear clattering and cursing as the doorkeeper went back there to accomplish something. Alright, OP, but you could accomplish something too right now. You don't even have to interact anymore. You just walk out the front door and leave forever. Unmatch on Tinder immediately after, and you'll never have to deal with the consequences of your own actions. Honestly, it sounds like the play to make, to me. But I don't know, man. You do you. I stood there, soaking in the disastrous scene, wondering what the hell I had just gotten myself into, when I heard the floorboards creak from behind me, and the heralding trumpets of heavy respirations from someone exhausted simply from traversing the length of their house. I heard that gravelly, smoke-a-pack-a-day angel say with a rumbling hunger deep in its guts,
"What are you doing? I thought I told you to have a seat."
I turned around to see the woman who had answered the door standing there, her clothes now completely stripped off. Nope. The underwear that was revealed to me was far too dainty for such a voluminous monstrosity. Her belly sagged so low over the line of her waist that the panties she wore disappeared into the fleshy folds of fat. I'm just gonna say big girls need love too, but I'm not really into this. And also, you don't look like a picture, so I gotta go. She motioned again to the couch, offering me a seat, saying,
"I've got some Netflix, we can, Netflix and chill."
Why did your voice change? Why are you talking like that? Get away from me! I stumbled back, nearly tripping over a coffee table that stood behind me as she advanced into the room. Oh God, shoot it! Shoot it!
God, it's coming right for us!
Her gut jiggled with each step like a gelatinous mound of dough, excited at the proposition to be parted aside in lust for the first time in ages. No. You're not really gonna do it, OP, right? From the way you're talking about it, I don't think that you are, but I've been surprised before, man. Finally, OP does speak up and says, I'm here to see Janet. Who the hell are you? She replied,
"I am Janet."
With a smile, revealing yellowing rows of crooked teeth. I crept back towards the wall like an increasingly cornered animal, remarking, "No, it's gotta be some kind of mistake. You don't look anything like her. She's at least 10 years younger than you," Janet retorted.
"Well, I just used one of my best pictures for my profile. What's the matter? You don't like what you see?"
Oh, God.
You're a monster!
She turned around, exposing her large ass to me, perhaps in some formally flirtatious display, and I could see, clinging to the thin, thong-like strap that rode between her abundant cheeks, a brown, crusty sediment. Like a punch to the gut. I'm sure this did work a decade ago, Janet, but you've really let yourself go since then. That's why the pictures were weird and grainy, because they're old as shit. And from the looks of that thong, that's about the same age. You've got a fine doo-doo patina on your butt floss. How long does it take to curate something like that? Don't answer, it's fine. OP says, "No! No, I didn't like what I saw. So, yeah, I fucking ran. You really did hold out hope right up until the end. I pushed my way past her, practically sending her headlong into the wall as I bolted for the door. I ran as fast as I could from that house, bolting right past Janet and out into my car, while she stood in the doorway with an almost absent-minded expression on her face, mirroring a facsimile of disappointment. As soon as I was out of there, I jumped into my car and I drove back to my house. A fate narrowly avoided. What did we learn today? Hopefully next time you ask if she's Janet at the door. And then she confirms and you say, oops, wrong house. And she says, well, how'd you know you were looking for Janet? And you're like, I don't know. Then you just run. It's a shorter sprint from the front porch to the car than like inside the house to the car. It's not a perfect plan, okay? But fuck it, it's the best one we got. When I got back to my house, I saw that there were numerous messages that had arrived from Janet during my short drive back. She'd been blowing up my phone in my absence. They ran the gamut from, please come back, and let's make a sandwich together, I'll be the cheese, to, what the hell's wrong with you? I can't believe you'd show and then just stand me up like that, and you practically pushed me through the wall, and all you boys are the same, I hate you. My personal favorite was, so what if my profile picture was a little dated? As if 15 years and 200 pounds later wasn't a radically different representation of who she had become today. I mean, I bagged on OP for the ham sandwich thing. I'm gonna go ahead and give Janet that same advice. Put your real pictures up there and let people sort themselves out. It'll lead to a lot less embarrassing situations like this. Of course, then we might have less stories to read. Janet kept on messaging and messaging and messaging. There must have been like 30 or 40 messages in my inbox by the time I got back. Wow, she got really talkative all of a sudden, didn't she? I didn't even bother replying. In the age of the internet, there's this useful tool that should never be underestimated. I mashed that goddamn block button and never looked back. Oh, so it's not just an unmatched then. So they probably did exchange phone numbers at some point. But honestly, goddamn, what a horrifying experience. I don't blame you from fleeing from the house after seeing the doo-doo thong. No thank you. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of things that I've witnessed out there in dating land, of course. While most aren't this disgusting, don't get me wrong, some of them are. There was a lot of hell that I had to trawl through before I finally found the one for me. If you guys liked what you read, then I'll gladly get you some more stories for your dating hell pleasures. I'm 100% on board with that. I don't know what happened to stupid internet fart. But if we could get a couple of dating hell OPs, I don't know, the dating content seems to do really well on this channel. Especially considering that we got Tinder out yesterday. Ooh, I don't know how we can match up the editing styles with this one to that one. But we'll figure out something to do to keep the story videos spicy because, yeah, this was a relatively spicy one. Most of my missed encounters in dating don't get past the texting phase. I am very partial when it comes to things like that. And yeah, one wrong/lame answer is enough to send me screaming into the night. I'm like, nah, I'm good. The real miracle is that I was able to find wifey and make that connection. But you know, like I said at the beginning, you gotta go through a whole lot of what you don't want in order to figure out what it is that you truly do want. So I'm glad that you did find it in the end, OP. I'm just sorry for the hell that you had to go through in order to get there. I'm gonna be honest, we gotta stop using the term artist so loosely. If everything's art, then nothing is. Welcome back to ReddX, everybody, with r/datinghell. This one, Never Trust an Artist, by We Know Wizardry. Good to see you back again, my friend. It's been up for a while. I just had some other stuff on my plate. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, hey, guys. I guess I wrote another r/datinghell for y'all. Just thinking back on this one, it was a big mood. The biggest of moods. So there I was, lurking the old Bumble, and I matched with Genevieve. She's your typical art girl, Not knocking it, by the way. I actually like me an art girl. I think anybody who's got that creative bent to them, yes. I am intrigued, at the very least. Basically, everything about her screamed, I'm in college for art, and art is what I do! And half her profile pictures were her paintings, which, to be fair, weren't exactly my kind of art. But hey, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and all that, and I can respect someone who puts their creations out there. Yeah, putting brush to canvas or video to YouTube is probably the hardest thing of all. But if you're out there trying and most importantly striving to improve between works, I can respect the hell out of that. So I stared at these paintings for a bit. A lot of them were just kind of brownish red abstractionist smudges on canvas, but hey, like I said, if it worked for her, well, you go, girl. Paint those pictures, you know? And so, paint them she did. And share them, she most certainly did as well. Yeah, I mean, at least she's proud of them, you know? Is this the best work you've ever done? Good. Now make a better one. Anyway, Genevieve and I matched. And when she said, hey, I replied, I'm cheesed to meet you. Because his profile's a ham sandwich, you see. We talked for a bit. And surprise, the conversation did indeed swerve into art. Me? Yeah, I'm a bit of an artist too, so we talked a lot in that general vein. I don't profess to be Michelangelo over here, but
Cowabunga!
I could draw something halfway decent when I put my mind to it, so we shared pictures and talked technique. Oh, art things. This seems like it has potential though. Big chill vibes, let's set the date up. See how it goes. Terribly, obviously, that's why it's in r/datinghell, but, you know, how terribly. All around, yeah, it was a pretty cool vibe. Not every day that I get to talk craft with other folks, since I work in retail, and most of the people I work with don't think beyond going to the bar at the end of the week. Yeah, that's so sad. You got me real deep with that. I've actually asked many of them what they do for fun, and half of them just give me a dead fish stare. Yeah, go home, sit down, binge on Netflix until it's time to show up here again, I guess. Is this not a fate worse than death? Wake up! Anyways, I try my luck, and I asked Genevieve if maybe she wants to go out sometime after sending her my picture and revealing that I am in fact not a sandwich. Well, I'm shocked, honestly. I am shocked and hurt and shocked. She says that she's a little busy with school at the moment, but when her semester wraps up, maybe we could do something then. It was a couple of weeks out with summer courses wrapping up and all, and I replied, you know what? Sounds good. Keep me in the loop. We talked a bit more about her courses and all that, and yeah, surprise, she's doing art. Oh, well, I am shocked. Again. But I'm glad you are patiently awaiting the date, OP. That means you sort of really like this girl, doesn't it? I'm sorry she broke your heart. I'm sorry in advance. So she says she's nervous about her final project and that it's due in a couple of weeks, and she doesn't know what the hell she's gonna turn in because the inspiration just hadn't hit her yet. A subject most delicatessen, definitely. OP's not even in character now. He just writes like that by default. I figured what better way to win the day than to recommend her something that could get her that A+ that she so desperately wanted. I raked my mind for some sort of subject matter that would impress her professor, but I just don't do abstract. Call me boring, but when I draw, I try to be true to form of whatever I'm drawing. Sheepishly, as I fished for any kind of recommendation, I said, you could paint a ham sandwich. In abstract, of course. Smooth. Perfectly buttery smooth. Nailed it! She laughed and called me a dork, which, yeah, that ain't too far from the truth. Even though I couldn't save the day by giving her that glowing recommendation for her final that would make her think of me fondly when we finally met up later, I wasn't hamstringing myself with my terrible taste, either. I wished her luck, telling her that whatever she painted, I was sure it was going to be excellent. and that she should send me a picture of it and let me know how she did afterwards. She's gonna paint this sandwich. This is gonna go really well, I think. So we texted a bit throughout the next 2 weeks, talking about, well, mainly the same thing. Genevieve was very much a one-trick pony when it came to discussion. That didn't bother me. I just figured that Genevieve was super passionate about what it was that she was into. I admire that. That's why I follow ReddX on YouTube. Oh, well, good plug. I thought we were gonna get it at the start. No, right in the middle. Thank you so much, man. If you watched the video this far, you're probably enjoying it. So why not like or subscribe for the passion of ReddX? Honestly, it was kind of refreshing, especially in lieu of my boring social life among my coworkers. Well, eventually one day she texts me and says, "I got it." She was all bubbly and excited. I wondered what was going on. And I replied, "What happened?" Oh God, I know. Not my best, but I'm trying, okay? That's right, that's all we can ask, honestly. You're already going the extra mile. How much more do you need? She sent me an image of her newest painting, and yeah, it was smudged brown and red paint on a canvas, but this time in horizontal lines, all layered on top of each other, with some like swirly bits in the middle of it. My gut told me that asking, "What the hell is even that?" was rude.
What the hell is even that?
So I decided to opt instead for right on. And she asked me if I knew what it was. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because, to be honest, I didn't have a damn clue. I felt like if I tried to answer seriously and my answer turned out to be wrong in that moment, I was gonna blow this whole situation up. So I decided to be my usual dorky self and say, "Is it a ham sandwich?" How hard is it to draw a ham sandwich? I guess in abstract. This is all really weird. I admire the work that you do. But again, it's kind of a stretch to call it art, right? Are you making it like this on purpose? Could we maybe try some other style or something that I could appreciate more with my pedestrian tastes? I could hear the girlish squee through the text message. Apparently, I had guessed right. It was a very abstract, monochrome sandwich, but absolutely a sandwich it certainly was. Sort of. I didn't expect her to take me seriously, but she did. And she responded, "That's exactly what it is, and you inspired it. Thanks." I followed up with a smiley face.
I sent that bitch a smiley face. Bitches love smiley faces.
I mean, that's just totally science, just a fact. Go ahead and look it up. She replied that it was her best work yet, and I hearkened back to all the other strange monochromatic pictures on her profile and read what they were supposed to be. And then I looked at her newest and realized that, yeah, I guess it actually did look like a ham sandwich. Abstractionism, man. I just don't understand it, I guess. Okay, so yeah, she is doing it on purpose, but we're just too plebeian. You and me just don't get it. Really is probably super double plus extra good, but we just don't get it. I wished her luck on getting a passing grade and asked her when she would finally be free of her professor's clutches. She hit me back with, "After this Friday, I'm a free woman. Do you want to meet up?" OP has been waiting to meet up. Oh, there's such a vibe going on between these two. I love it. Hell yeah, Genevieve, I want to meet up. What are you thinking? Well, she's thinking that she's gonna invite me over to her studio space. Girl's got a studio? Dang, that's fancy. Let's go. So Saturday comes around and I wake up sometime past noon. It just makes good sense to start the day at 1. I get dressed, I hop in the car, I take that trip out to what's basically one of those rental blocks on the industrial side of town where you can rent a storage space, but you can also use it as a workshop if you want. But not for making meth. They're hip to that these days. So I walk down the rows of closed up units before I reach one near the end by a concrete wall that has the shutter up, and I can hear inside art girl music playing. What is that, like Vampire Weekend or something? I step inside and shout, "Hey, I'm here." And I hear Genevieve from the back say, "Just a second." I mill around for a bit, checking out her work. Sitting there on an easel is another piece of canvas. This one looking like she's just started with it, with the same reddish brown smears all over it. Is that reddish brown like foreshadowing for something? It can't just be her favorite color. That's a terrible favorite color. So this girl comes out holding a paint tray with different reds and browns mixed up on it, and her fingers are absolutely coated in it. And I infantilize myself a bit for some humor. I remark, "Finger painting, huh? Well, that's something that I can understand." She laughs a bit, and I think, okay, great. We're off to an awesome start. She's got a good sense of humor, she's pretty, she has interests, and is her own person. Okay, we can hang, Genevieve. Yeah, a little bit of finger painting fun down in the studio. And then you grab the butt cheeks and leave some big blue handprints, right? Up in the corner, she motions to the sandwich she painted and said, "It got me an A, by the way." And I was actually kind of impressed to hear that. It was a silly recommendation, but I guess her teacher saw something in it, and looking at that thing up close certainly beat the resolution of her camera. I could, in fact, actually see that it was a sandwich now, instead of a bunch of smudges. Bro, OP, come on. You ain't gotta lie to kick it. That shit still doesn't look like a sandwich. Soup sandwich, maybe. It's a fucking mess. I told her, you should probably invest in a better camera if you're going to be uploading your art online, because if I can be honest, I struggled a bit to identify what it was in the picture that you sent me. I delivered this news gently, but she brushed it off and said, "Yeah, I know my camera sucks. I hope you didn't think I was going to get offended or anything." And she seemed to be even-keeled. Well, hot damn. I was kind of liking Genevieve. All right, good. We can kick it. Yeah, it seems to be working out. Why is this dating hell? So, I said, what do you want to do? You want to go somewhere? Want to hang out here? I'm down for whatever. Genevieve smiled and said, "Well, I do want to keep working on what I'm working on. I'd rather hang out here, but maybe we could do something together." I like activities, so I asked, "What are you thinking?" And she said, "Do you want to paint a picture with me?" Sure. Why the hell not? The floor is the canvas, and our bodies are the rollers. This is the feeling of true passion. I said, sure. Why the hell not? Do I gotta finger paint it? And she replied, if you want. Okay, when in Rome, right? So I hoisted up a blank canvas on the easel, and her and I set to work, passing the paint tray, dabbing our fingers unceremoniously in monochromatic stain, and streaking it across the plain white canvas. We laughed a bit, and I vandalized the canvas with a giant dick, and then she drew some eyes and a vein on it. And then I took my hand, and I mashed it into the paint tray and started to paint a hand wrapped around the giant elephant dong. Yeah, screw it. We were having fun, and life was pretty good. She called me a perv and flicked some paint at me, so I flicked some back at her, and then she playfully slapped me across the face, leaving a big wet paint mark on my face to dry. We were making a complete mess, like a couple of unruly kids. It was a damn good time, while it lasted. Well, where did it all go so wrong, I guess is the question that's on the tip of everyone's tongue. And OP acknowledges, but this is far too wholesome for dating hell. Don't think I would just blue ball you guys. Oh no. It was about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. We'd been painting for several hours now, messing around, talking about this and that and the other, and the whole canvas, Genevieve and I had become splattered, paint-soaked messes. I was definitely going to need a shower when I got back to my place. Well, like I said, I had been there for a while, and I said, hey, Genevieve, is there a bathroom attached to this place? I gotta use the restroom. She said, yeah, sure, just go through the back. There's one at the far end. Wait, is she collecting poops to use in the canvas and everybody's like throwing poop on each other? Is that why the paint is brown? It's like a super secret toilet that funnels this poop away into a special OP's poop container. So I started toward what was basically a little walled off section of the studio space. I rounded the corner and I felt my stomach fall out as I came to terms with what I saw. On top of a workbench sat a massive cottony mound, stained with that same reddish-brown paint that we had been playing with for the last half hour. Oh no. Oh no! I leered at it with uncertainty as I saw flies swarming about it. Oh, just run! As I approached, I was greeted with a smell that I never wanted to smell. Was it a smelly smell that smells smelly?
A smelly smell that smells smelly.
You know that smell? It's like hot copper, or burning metal, or pennies, or battery. It's blood, dude. It's menstrual blood. And finally all just clicked. Okay, it was concentrated back here, like a perfidious cloud, rising up from the brownish red mound of stained swabs, with each individual swab attached to a precariously dangling string. Dude, she's wringing out her tampons? What the hell is happening? They had all dried out long ago, like a desiccated mound of disposed feminine hygiene products constructed into a half-sentient blood maggot golem. What? I don't know what to do with this new sentence. I hate it, but I also love it. It was just festering there in the stagnant heat of a Los Angeles summer afternoon in this workshop of horrors. No, really, it is terrible. Please, somebody get me out of here. But then it's like, I don't know. You guys were vibing, like, maybe we can see past this in some type of way? No, it's pretty foul. It would be a mental illness if she wasn't making art, quote unquote, art with it. I don't know what to do here. A shudder ran down my spine as I reconciled with the saturation and tone of the colors in those rags, and recollected the coppery tones that I had smeared all over that canvas for the last 2 hours. And then I choked as I practically saw a wet one pooling with blood on the countertop besides an open box of tampons. It's like something out of a movie scene. Bloody fingerprints decorated the workbench, and I saw childish graffiti on one, a big red bloody heart with my name and hers on each side, drawn in menstrual blood. This is just... where do we go from here? I would really try and convince myself. I'd be like, okay, maybe it's fine. Maybe we can work it out. Eventually she'll move on to another medium, right? And then cut to her saying, that's right, while she removes OP's poop from the secret toilet canister. That's your new medium? Oh no! That's even worse! This is a wild ride, bro. I almost retched as I looked down at my hands, at my clothes, my shoes, my skin. Numbly, I touched a hand to my face, scraping off flakes of the dried paint that now littered the floor. Oh yeah, that's coagulated already. How much of that paint was her fucking rag blood? I didn't know, but now it was all over my goddamn face. It was all over her goddamn face. It was all over her hands as if it was just the most normal thing in the world. I mean, to her it is, I guess. Everybody's got baggage, OP. I mean, this is really bad, but Like I said, I might be willing to shoulder it if we really did vibe that well. I don't know what to say. She likes menstrual blood. She keeps my horrible secrets and I keep hers, okay? Genevieve had been finger painting with this stuff the moment I showed up at this freaking studio. As I stood there, processing the shock of this moment, I could hear Genevieve come walking up behind me as I stood shell-shocked in the doorway. I could hear her say, "Babe, what's up? The bathroom's in the back." I didn't respond at first until she prodded me again. I could feel her hands wrap around me, the wet liquid that clung to her hands seeping into my shirt and staining my torso as her arms closed me in. "Babe, is something wrong?" This Vietnam flashback. I don't know why it has to be this way. This is her way of revealing her true self to you. You could have accepted it. You could have had happily ever after, maybe. But I don't know, man. I can't tell you how to live. That's the truth of it. I tried to form a sentence, but nothing came out at first. I just stood there, soaking in the sanguinary discharge that perforated the atmosphere. As she stood there behind me, grasping me tight. Finally, I stammered out, "We were painting with your blood?" I could hear her voice. She sounded hurt. "It's not all blood. I mix in oils and acrylics too. What's the matter?" You're really making me defend her like she's the rational one. I guess the real issue here is that she didn't tell him outright. Smear it all over his face and then let him find out this way. That's not cool, but again, I think you can get over it. I pulled her hands off of me and I didn't reply. I'm not gonna lie, I felt betrayed in that moment. You don't casually invite a man over to your place and douse him in copious amounts of your menstrual blood without informing him that that's what you're doing. Yeah, I see it from your way, OP. This secret is gonna lead to a lot more secrets in the future. OP continues, "Hell, if you had just announced that you were painting with your period blood to me the moment that I got there, I might not have taken it so hard. But to ask me if I want to finger paint with you using your own period discharge without letting me know that that's precisely what I'm dipping my hands into, yeah, I felt betrayed. You definitely have a right to your feelings. And I guess OP's talking me around as well. You don't want to work it out with a person like this." Dirty secrets! I just met this girl. I didn't know if she was clean. She could have been using needles for all I knew at that point in time. What if I had cuts on my hands and had been dipping my fingers in her goddamn blood? Holy, you are really talking me around. Like I said, if she's not making art with it, this is a legitimate mental illness. I'm so confused. I don't even know how to feel about our clown world anymore. For fuck's sake, I had this stuff on my face, near my goddamn mucous membranes. I ain't trying to get the HIV or the Hep. I'm out here trying to look for a serious partner, damn it. It's just too bad you vibed in every other way. And then, yeah, she had to go and surprise you with something like this. You ruined this whole thing, not me. I booked it right then to my car. There you go. No further explanation needed. She was hot on my tail the whole way, yelling after me, trying to fathom what could possibly be wrong. I didn't feel like explaining myself at the time. The only damn thing on my mind was getting home, getting in the shower, and sitting catatonic under a running stream of hot water until I somehow magically felt better about everything. And that is precisely what I did. No regrets, OP. Not even one. Genevieve eventually gave up trying to reach me by the time I got back out of the shower. I saw that she left me a bunch of messages apologizing for what had happened. I guess I can grant her that, but still, it didn't do much to ease my feelings of betrayal that day. God, this one twists me all up inside, you know? I'm between a rock and a hard place here. I want you to find the artsy goth GF of your dreams, but I also want her to explain when we're painting with her menstrual blood. I ended up going to Planned Parenthood a while after the fact and getting tested just because I wanted to make sure that my bill of health was clean. I took a good month break from dating after I got that clean bill of health just to decompress from the stress of it all. You seem like a high-strung guy, OP, but these are definitely good things to think about. Stuff that, like, initially I didn't even think about. But I guess when you spend all day rolling around in the dumpsters, sometimes your brain gets a little blurry about what clean versus dirty versus safe versus unsafe really is, you know? You definitely brought up some stuff that I wouldn't have considered. And yeah, gave me a new perspective on the whole thing. I'm glad you didn't look past it. You stood your ground, and that's what's most importantly. I probably still would have tried to work it out with her just because of the vibe, but that's just me. That's how you end up getting stabbed and skinned and bound onto a book written in your own blood. Anyways, guys, that about wraps it up for the day. Be leery of artists. You never really know what the hell they're up to. Take it easy. Artists are some of the most fun people, but yeah, they get some whacked out ideas every once in a while. It's not their fault. It's just the brain chemistry. That's how things like this go sometimes. So we're all just kind of standing there, awkwardly, unsure how to end it, when Datebeard says, can I kiss you? Jesus.
What? No, dude!
Hello, ReddX and friends. It is your small, local void with the story that I promised. There's little dialogue in this, and I'm not entirely sure if he's considered a beard or a nice guy or really anything, but I've decided to call him Datebeard because I'm not clever, and Reddit won't let me change the title. Without further delay, let's get into the cast list with the names changed, of course. Ro, my best friend at the time, Kyle, Ro's date, and DB, Datebeard, the man who I met online at 17 and stupidly went on a date with. I mean, why stupidly? Did you know how bad he was before the date commenced? I guess we'll pass our judgment on all of these things in due time. Oh yeah, there's also Sister, who is a Datebeard's sister. So before we really get into this, I want to point out that not only was this my first and last date with this dude, it was just, in general, my very first date. Oh yeah, you always remember your first, don't you? Sometimes not in the way that you want to, though.
Shit, I don't even know. Like, I can't even tell you that, like.
It's not exactly what I would call a good first impression of the whole dating scene, especially as a teenager. I'm pretty sure this guy was in his 20s too. Oh! And yes, of course, that makes matters just a little bit worse. A little bit? Bro.
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
No. This isn't okay at all. How did you meet this specimen? I have a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions. With all that said, I will start from the beginning. The site that I met this specimen on was not at the time branded as a dating site, Facebook. It was supposed to be somewhere where you could not only find old friends, but make new connections. Yeah, I don't want to do either of those things, thank you. It was pretty harmless for the most part, and I made a lot of new, though temporary, friends on it, and one such friend was Datebeard. Maybe it was MySpace. I dated a girl from MySpace for a while. He messaged me one day, out of the blue, as happens on the internet, and we got to talking. Turns out we shared a lot of similar interests at the time. Music, shows, games, the works, plus he only lived a couple hours away. What do you want to bet he was stalking your profile to find out what you like? And then he's like, oh, I like these things too. I think we talked for maybe around a week before he asked me out on that date, and nothing seemed too off about the guy at the time, so I agreed and plans were made. He would drive to me, we would go to breakfast, and then the local arcade for some games and bowling. Oh, morning afternoon date. That sounds pretty nice, actually. That's novel. Either this beard is a very creative thinker, or he really loves Moon Over My Hammy and the Simpsons arcade game. It sounded like a good idea at the time. Stranger danger aside, of course. Yeah, that's kind of the rub. Ro, the amazing friend that he was, really wasn't okay with me going on this date with some internet stranger. MVP plays. I let Datebeard know, and he said that his sister had recently moved in with them, and that if I was uncomfortable, then he would bring her along. I sort of thought it was nice of him to offer, but we ended up settling on basically a double date. Me and Datebeard, Ro, and Kyle. And he agreed. I never really liked the double date dynamic, but yes, it is definitely safer than just one-on-one. Skip ahead to the day of the date. I put on my nicest outfit. I do my hair up all nice and even put on a bit of makeup. I was dressed to impress. You only get a first date one time, after all. So he and I are texting. Rose at my place and Kyle is coming to pick us up. Everything is working out perfectly until I get a text from Datebeard saying that
he likes me so much that he washed his hair for the first time in months, and he let his sister do it for him.
Holy shit! Did you just f*** your sister?
You what?
Well, that's quite a non sequitur, isn't it? This is the first red flag that we've seen, but it's also the first thing that he's said. So far, he's batting 100. I really should have bailed right then and there, yes. But I was naive, and I did want to give him a chance. He also asked me if he could kiss me if the date went well. I shouldn't have agreed to that, for obvious reasons. Yeah, don't ask me up front. Ask me after the date. Or don't ask me at all. Just read the room. Something is wrong with this dude. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I feel that I should insert here that he is Sikh, and in their culture, it's an article of faith to keep their hair uncut. He told me that they were to keep their hair unwashed, and I didn't find out until much later that that is untrue. They can wash their hair, comb it, etc., just not cut it, and they also have to keep it covered up in public. He warned me ahead of time that he wore a turban, which had probably been an issue with other people, but it didn't bother me in the least. He wore a maroon one to the date, and I thought it looked quite nice. His beard was rather unkempt, but not really that big a deal either. In short, his appearance was not the problem. Well, I'm glad we established that. Most of the Sikhs that I've met are pretty cool people, but I guess there's one bad apple in every bunch or barrel or whatever. So Kyle picks us up, and on the way to the restaurant, Datebeard texts me and tells me that
he's gonna be late.
That's okay, I thought. No big deal. Yeah, fair. It's nice of him to text ahead of time. So we're sitting at our booth in the restaurant, just chatting and chilling, when this man walks in with his sister. It's getting a little weird, but all right. I really wish the hole would form beneath my seat and swallow me whole, because honestly, what the hell? He really brought his sister to our date? Cue the second time that day that I should have bailed out, but I didn't. Of course I didn't. I mean, is this a cultural thing? Like the family has to approve of you or something like that? It's probably not. It's probably just a weird thing that he did because he's uncomfortable and needs somebody that he knows well and can lean on when things get awkward, when conversation gets sparse. I see what's going on here. So breakfast starts. It's too early in the day for this shit. I'm gonna tell you that. And I keep trying to talk to him about the things that we texted about. Music, movies, the works. Except every single time I said something to him, instead of responding to me, he would turn towards his sister and start talking about the thing that I said with her. Literally everything I said, he would respond to his sister, not to me. It was the strangest thing that I think I've ever seen. Yeah, he's a little bit codependent with his sibling. Does he actually know about these things, or he's just pretty good at Google Foo? Maybe he does know about these things, is just too intimidated to talk to OP about it. So she gives an example and says, OP, so you said you like steam-powered giraffe? Not a lot of people know about them. Datebeard, turning towards his sister.
I do like them a lot. What's your favorite song?
Sister, I really like Honeybee. Rinse and repeat for the entirety of breakfast.
Bruh.
Well, maybe once the nerves go away and maybe you have a couple mimosas, you know, social lubricant and that, he'll turn out to be a normal human being. But yeah, right now this is not normal behavior. I don't know what the hell's going on. Something to know for sure is that these two did not in any way grow up together. They had not seen each other since they were toddlers and basically didn't really share that familial bond. With that in mind, it almost seemed like he was here to be on a date with her, as weird and cringe as that sounds. How can you even bring it up without being super awkward? Like, hey, why aren't you talking to me? Did I do something wrong? A little bit of righteous indignation might go a long way here. So Datebeard said that him and his sister have been having a great time getting to know each other. And that skeeved me out, that's for sure.
What do you mean by that?
Very sus, that's what I'll say. So breakfast ends, and we had agreed beforehand that he would be paying for the date, except he didn't end up paying for my breakfast. He just paid for him and his sister, and I had to cover myself. Well, I was 17, with no job, and bless my mom for having given me some money, otherwise I'd be completely screwed. So, all in all, breakfast was a disaster, and yet, still, I stayed.
That's not my problem. It's yours.
Why are you doing these things to yourself? Not enough money left over to afford an Uber or something like that? Are we just presuming it's gonna improve from here, or we're not trying to break the social contract? He already broke the social contract, okay? Driving me nuts. But also, I'm curious as to the whole story behind these two. So after breakfast, and I can't even remember why, we went to Walmart. I had made a joke about him not bringing me flowers, and so while we were at Walmart, this weirdo bought me a potted plant. Not flowers, some strange potted plant that sprayed water if you squeezed the bulb. Oh, I get it. It's a double entendre.
He's trying to make you squirt, girl. Ah!
Lord, I apologize. I ended up accidentally leaving that plant in Kyle's car when everything was said and done, and while it really was an honest mistake, I can't say that I'm really all that upset about it. Poor plant, didn't stand a chance. Kyle's too busy drinking Monsters, punching holes in the drywall, you know?
You want a beer?
Yeah. So here starts phase 2 of the date, the arcade. Yes, surely things will improve here. And OP says things did actually get better from here. Okay, foot, meat, mouth. He started talking to me. We played some arcade games together, played laser tag, and went bowling. We even took some cute little pictures together in those little photo booths that give you back your photos in little strips, which he also did with his sister, though at this point it did feel more like a date between him and I, rather than between the two of them. I think I got this one nailed down. He's just a shy dude. He needs his sister there to be able to open up to you in a meaningful way. And while it's not normal or ideal, like maybe if you really did like this dude, you could have given it a pass, you know? Then again, maybe a lot of time investment to get him to show his true colors. I can't really say. OP continues, we finally start having those conversations that we should have had at breakfast, and eventually he and I break off from the other three to just sit down together and talk, and really get to know each other. Yeah, I like that. I actually thought I might be able to like this guy. He made me laugh, and we had a lot in common, but I was sorely mistaken. Dude, where did it all go so wrong? It seems like it has potential. I don't know what's happening. So phase 3 of the date, we go to Ro and I's favorite coffee shop. We go in, pick a little booth near the counter, and sit down to wait for our drinks. That is when this man did the unthinkable. He took off his sandals and put his bare feet up on the seat. honestly not seeing why that's a deal breaker, but you can convince me. Go ahead. OP says, I'm not super uptight or anything, but just taking your shoes off, let alone putting your bare feet that have had minimal protection from the nastiness of the world because you're wearing sandals up on the seat of an establishment is an absolute no-go. Disgusting and childish. Maybe, but like, people's butts go on there, you know? There's fecal particulate all over that seat, which is another good reason to not put your feet up on it. But I think the butts win over the feets in this case, maybe? But that's fine, the line's different for everybody. OP says, I was instantly back to being skeeved out, and any idea that I might like that guy went flying right out the window. Who does shit like that? If you do, I'm not coming for you, so please don't hurt me. It does seem like something that I'd be liable to do after a day of walking around, I gotta be honest. But we all get opinions, and if it skeeves you out, OP, I hope that you'll tell me, hey, can you put your shoes back on and put your feet on the floor? I know nobody's sitting there, but now your feet smell like farts, right? Not to mention, he went back to fielding my attempts at conversation to his sister, like some unwanted call getting sent to voicemail. All right, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We finally finish our drinks, and we head out into the parking lot where we're going to part. He and his sister were going to go home. Kyle would take Ro and I back to my place, so we're all just kind of standing there, awkwardly, unsure how to end it, when Datebeard says, can I kiss you? Jesus.
What? No, dude!
No, I don't think that was the right time for that. I didn't really know how to say no at the time. That's true. 17 years old, it's really hard. And OP says she still struggles with saying no to this day, so I said yes, despite that he had definitely not met the condition of it being a good date. It's the worst thing ever. Not a complete train wreck, but yeah, it's rough. I expected a very first date appropriate peck on the lips. That is not what I got. This man put one hand on the small of my back, the other between my shoulder blades, effectively caging me in, and shoved his whole tongue down my throat.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the f—
Please don't. I'm not even kidding. There was more of his tongue in my mouth than my own tongue. Oh, okay, please stop describing it. I feel so violated through text. I was pushing against his shoulders, but this freak had me locked in with his grip in the way he'd positioned his hands. I caught Ro's eyes over his shoulder, and I tried to give him what I thought was a pleading look. Please, for the love of all things pure, save me. He'd later told me that he thought I was reacting positively to the kiss, which, no, definitely not. Well, Rose tried to make the MVP plays, but yeah, sometimes we drop the ball. That's all right. When we finally parted, I said goodbye, and as soon as he was out of the parking lot, I rushed inside, asked for a cup of water, and rinsed my mouth out. I wanted to vomit. I can only imagine. I was so disgusted. And Ro was just laughing the entire time. All right, no more MVP for you, Ro. I'm taking the title back. This is not good. I hate it through text. I can only imagine what it's like in real life. OP says, I guess I can't really blame him for laughing because in hindsight, it is kind of funny, but a little support just then would have gone a long way, as I did my best to get the taste of him out of my mouth with a flimsy paper cup of water and no toothpaste in sight. Truly, we are living in hell. When I finally got home, he texted me again, asking if I'd had a good time and when we could see each other again. You gotta tell him the truth, OP. It took me a while to respond since I got anxiety, and again, I do have a hard time telling people no, but I did eventually tell him that I didn't think we should see each other again. He asked, why? And I gave him the brutal truth. pointing out all of the things he'd said and done that just weren't okay. Especially the foot on the booth thing. And the kiss. What's with the foot on the booth thing? Comment section, let me know about the foot on the booth thing. The kiss, obviously. But I don't know, where else are you supposed to prop your feet up? I know that Datebeard felt me trying to push away from him. He called me a few names, and yeah, that was that. What were the names? God, he's disgusting, isn't he? Trying to put up this social veneer, and then by the end, I end up hating him. Happens in every video and never fails to surprise me. I never heard from him again, and I've only been on one date since then, which was also a disaster. Oh boy. So that's my story of the worst date that I've ever been on with the weirdest, creepiest guy that I've ever met. Compared to some of the disasters we've had, yeah, this one was bearable. I hope y'all enjoyed reading it, and I hope that it didn't disappoint from the few little bits that were given before. So have a nice day and stay safe out there, and remember, if he brings his sister, run. Yeah, I guess if I liked the person enough, I really would give them a chance and be like, okay, let's see what it's about and that. But after this story, yeah, I think running probably is the better option. Video's still looking a bit teeny tiny, so let's go ahead and throw another one off in here. This one from Anayushi, coming back to the channel, The Little Beard That Could. Editor's note, hello, ReddX, hi there. This story was written by my close friend. I encouraged her to tell this story to you because the whole event was honestly just a massive hellfest that I felt she needed to let out and maybe warn other people that don't see the signs of the beard. And oh, did some gears start turning when she explained what her boyfriend was like behind the scenes after the breakup. Yeah, that's always interesting. Why didn't you say anything during the relationship? I didn't want you to think he was weird. Okay, but yeah, he was weird. You don't generally have to hide that. I had no clue he was a beard at first, and really neither did she. Rather, she had no idea what a neckbeard was until I let her know of the subculture after the fact. I'm sorry, Zero. I would have told you sooner and warned you if I had any idea he was a beard beforehand. We only do the best we can. We can't take it back. I'm sure you guys will feel angry at him as well after she tells her beardy tale. That's all from me, though. Enjoy her story and my editing along the way. Curtains are drawn for my friend, Zero. Welcome to the channel, Zero. Apparently, I dated a neckbeard for nearly 3 years, and I didn't even realize it until recently. Let's just call him Paradox for short. That name is way too cool for a neckbeard, but I'm gonna allow it. We met in my college and started dating some months later. Due to COVID and the school's ignorant lockdown rules, I was supposed to have moved out of the dorm soon after, but I couldn't because of some hybrid classes and the college being 2 hours away by freeway, so it just wouldn't be doable at this time. I mean, looking back, all of the lockdown rules were kind of ignorant, but we fell into the trap, didn't we? The test to get people to submit was a raging success, but I digress. Hey, they rhymes. So in short, my now ex and I moved in together as he was going to be homeless by default or something of the sort because he had no family members he could stay with. His folks traveled by RV and he was from an entirely different state as well. Well, this is already a disaster. Things started off really great until I noticed that Paradox didn't shower too often.
That's nasty.
In a dorm room? You're gonna smell that on day 2. I guarantee it. I thought it was because there was something wrong with the shower, and, well, there was, but even after we had it fixed, he put off his hygiene for days, even up to, weeks. Yeah, I showered twice a month, whether I need it or not. Paradox would also try to shave his beard from time to time, which was pretty bad since it would grow back in a day or two. And yes, he did have a beard on his neck. But really, it's the beard on the inside that counts. Hey, check me out over on Teespring. Thanks so much. Perfect plug. He only showered when his folks visited or when he had in-person classes. Sometimes. His showers only consisted of washing his hair and down there, as he would tell me. Oh Lord, his armpits smelled when he hugged me. And that wasn't like a deal breaker for you? That doesn't initiate like a difficult conversation or something? Sometimes at the apartment's hot tub, he'd bathe there and clean everywhere, including his bum and whatever else came out of there, unfortunately. God, I'm never using the hot tub again. Public hot tub is already, but you're just making it even more unseemly. Back at the dorms, he seemingly rarely brushed his teeth, and I always had to remind him to do it, and also to take some meds for an infection that he had gotten as well. What sort of infection, I'm thinking STI, but might just be an ear infection, I don't know. So yes, Paradox still rarely brushed his teeth, even with my reminders. What are you, his mother? Do you want to keep your mouth rocks or not? just brush them. Paradox did look clean when we met, but I guess it was just a facade after we got together. As gross as it was, this wasn't a deal breaker for me in the beginning. That's sad. Respect yourself more, please. If he can't respect himself, how's he ever gonna respect you, you know? He was in the computer science department, and he told me about the rumors about him and a lot of his friends at the time. These rumors included how they had ended up with poor hygiene, grew out their hair, and just stopped caring if they didn't wash it. They would game for hours, eat dinner at their desk, and wear glasses. Editor here, I'm sorry, Zero. I laughed at how you left glasses for the end like a big finale. That is true. Some of these things concerning the glasses, not as much. It was a rumor for a reason, as Paradox did the same, but so much worse. He smelled pretty bad at times. It wasn't just sweat and greasy hair either. It was also him not washing his hands, or rarely doing so after he'd used the restroom, to which he didn't use toilet paper. And if he did, it would only be between 2 and 4 times a year. What? Bro's out here on a mission to save the rainforest. He just washes his butt in the public hot tub. Ugh.
Disgusting!
Now I'm starting to get slightly upset with OP for just allowing all this to happen. Yeah, he would wash off in the very rare showers, and I would have to clean it up because Paradox just wouldn't. He doesn't even stomp his own poop down the drain like a gentleman. He's probably a log-tossing savage. We'd never have to run out of toilet paper, at least. I guess that's what happens when he doesn't use toilet paper, so yeah. Not a pretty picture, and he lazily did not admit to any of his faults 100%. Editor here to say I'm sorry for what your ears are about to witness, although I'm sure ReddX is enjoying this now. Hear that, everybody? Food down. I mean, we already talked about waffle stomping. How much worse could it get? His mud butt would smear on his pants, the bed sheets, blankets, his chair, the couch cover, his underwear. That's just what happened. Okay, but what I really want to know is how do you rationalize this to yourself? Yes, he leaves poopy smears on the couch, but at least he loves me. Come on. We gotta do better than this, bro. It wasn't just shit either. Paradox had the horrible habit of wiping his snot and all sorts of other food crumbs onto the furniture.
Hey, Meg. Proud of you.
Yes, green and yellow smears of snot and Cheeto dust. Oh my god. I tried to talk to him about this like 2 or 3, maybe 4 times, but I would get the lazy excuse of, the toilet paper will stay in my ass because it's yada yada. Let's just say he compares himself to Chewbacca. He's got a hairy beehole. What grown man doesn't? That's what I want to ask.
I'm from the health inspector's office. My name is Harry Buttisker.
Harry Buttwhisker.
We don't really need to talk about it, though. The guy tried to guilt me by saying that he used to not be allowed to use the restroom much as a kid due to his stepmother at the time, and now, with me around, I made him better. Oh my god, I could totally fix him. Just give me more time, I can fix him. I am not even sure how to take that. Probably not well is what I would suggest. Anyway, I stopped asking about it and kept cleaning up after him like his mother or a free maid. This is turning into a really sad tale. I hope you get liberated at the end of all this, OP. Side note from editor, Zero, this actually makes me want to cry. Can't believe you dated him for years and never mentioned this. This is disgusting. You have insane patience, but I think you have to rein in how much you allow. Amen. Loving someone doesn't mean you need to clean up their literal poo-poo. Yeah, that's what I said. How do you even rationalize something like that? From household chores to cooking, cleaning, even gardening and more, I do them all by myself, even if I asked for his help. Paradox would be too busy gaming or coding. He doesn't actually know any programming languages. Coding is just code for gaming. More gaming. When he had time, he would genuinely help out, but he would only clean the kitchen counters, do the dishes, but there would be some food lazily left behind, and also the stove. Well, there's effort, I guess. Sometimes Paradox would take 1 to 3 hour long walks for some exercise. I'd even see him dancing to music every so often. Somehow, he would make the situation hypocritical, however, and he would explain to me about not having junk food in the house, only for him to have some himself when I wasn't even the one on the workout routine. This is written strangely, but I'll tell you right now, if I want some Doritos, I'm gonna have some Doritos. We can fight about it if you want. I was concerned about Paradox's health and weight because he was fairly large by then, and I would try to help him eat healthier to avoid any health problems or genetic ones, if any. He was too picky, and he really only liked 2 or 3 vegetables, while the rest was all meat, butter, bread, pasta, you name it. He would rarely cook as well, so I was tasked to cook almost all of the time, except for when we ordered out. I'm sure some people would think that's egregious, but that's essentially how it goes with me and my wife, so I don't know if I have a big problem with it. I even supported him at his graduation and gave him a small plush bear gift. Alright, I'm getting a little more confused. I don't know if OP is trying to build a case for herself or a case against the neckbeard. Tell me more about how he pooped all over stuff. I don't care about bear plushies. I should also mention that he would read these strange novels on Wuxia. Editor here, I looked it up. According to my trusty browser, DuckDuckGo, Wuxia, which literally means martial heroes, is a genre of Chinese fiction concerning the adventure of martial artists in ancient China. Although Wuxia is traditionally a form of fantasy literature, its popularity has caused it to be adapted for such diverse art forms as Chinese opera, manhwa, television dramas, films, and video games. Well, that's actually a helpful editor's note. Cool! I thought it was just creepy My Little Pony fix or something. Paradox would read these things for hours straight until he fell asleep at 6 or even 10 a.m. Yet, he expected me to be happy that I'd get to cuddle him when I had to wake up at 10 a.m. to get to work at 11-ish. Despite all that, I made him breakfast as well. Damn, dude, this must be how my wife feels sometimes, you know? You're making me feel real guilty all of a sudden. I should also add that Paradox had some anger issues and was impatient, as is standard for neckbeards.
Holy shit, dude!
Paradox rarely had time for us, and whenever I tried to go to someplace nice with him after over a year of dating, he just focused on college, games, and League of Legends, especially, as well as gaming with his Discord friends, which I had no issues with until he compared me to a strange girl, let's just call her Fizzy, on Discord. He talked about how normal she was and kept talking behind my back while I was trying to sleep. Don't get it twisted, we were both loyal the entire time, but could you imagine how much that hurts to hear? Okay, he didn't physically cheat, but this is emotionally cheating. You do realize that, right? He's just a loser, bro. I really want to know how all this just got rationalized, glossed over, just like, I guess that's okay and normal. It's really not. Please don't allow it. Fizzy was very needy and childish, much like Paradox's other friends, including one that I will call Cuddles, who got drunk and didn't take care of his baby or wife the moment he logged on. Cuddles would get upset at the suggestion to play with someone else in LOL for a few days when Paradox and I had planned something in advance, making it a struggle to get Paradox away from the screen. Ew, bro. I don't like that at all. If I got time to play with you, I'll totally play with you. Truth is, I don't have a lot of time to play with you. It wasn't all their fault, of course. Paradox truly had nobody to blame but himself. He pushed me to get my driver's license. With no money at the time, I got a job at a fast food joint, and it was all right until it wasn't, as most things tend to be. The pay was minimal, and the rent took almost half of my paycheck. Food took some, bills, all the other things that we needed to survive. Man, I'm so glad to be old and semi-established now. OP continues, I helped him get his server job, apply to his master's degree when he wasn't sure that he wanted to, and helped him to not fail his classes and finals when he was about to on the very last day of class. He claimed the server job was to help people, but I know in reality he wanted the money and didn't really like the management. Hell yeah, dude, nobody's in a server job because they like it. Honestly, OP helping out with classes and stuff, you're way too good for him. I'm just waiting for you to see that. My stress and mood weren't too good, but even then, he still supported me until, again, he didn't. Paradox suddenly claimed to not feel anything for me anymore, yet showed the opposite after he broke up with me. He was very huggy and overly touchy, making excuses yet again to drink and get drunk and get back together, and he asked me to be close. He's still messing around with Fizzy, isn't he? He's trying to have his cake and eat it too right now. OP says, I did nothing but treat him well the entire time we dated, and I only got him to act like an asshole. Surprise, OP, it wasn't an act. Ta-da! That's who he's been this whole time! He was cold and distant to me for 2 weeks before ending it, instead of, talking about the relationship, as if he couldn't even be bothered to try. I mean, look at how he lives his life. He can't be bothered to try with anything. OP says, I did try. I tried my hardest, despite everything, even when he was the one with the issue. I attempted to figure it out and communicate better, but apparently Paradox got tired of lecturing me when I would get stressed. I never asked or wanted a lecture, just some moral support after the stress and anxiety that I was having with everything going on in my life during that time. Was that truly too much to ask for when I was the one cleaning up his actual shit stains? Apparently, according to Paradox, yes it was. I mean, we could point the finger at him for bad communication all we want, but it also requires a good look in the mirror. Have you told him that you're really not okay with cleaning up the doo-doo? Have you told him that it makes you feel invisible when you are ignored in favor of an online game? Not trying to come after you, OP. I'm just saying. OP says, I was upset since I had quit my job for him, since he basically kicked me out, and I was forced to move back in with my overbearing and stressful parents, which he knew about due to the fact that we couldn't afford the rent any longer, while Paradox acted like he was in the right. Paradox's folks, however, were upset with him. They said they liked me and that I took care of Paradox very well, including events like him getting me sick with COVID and getting his wisdom teeth removed last summer. Dude, this story's all over the fucking place. What are you talking about? Additionally, it's really not your job to take care of your partner. You're supposed to be partners. Sounds to me like you're dragging around a 400-pound sack of potatoes. He took me for granted even after everything we'd been through, after everything he put me through. Paradox only ever had 2 other girlfriends, but they were back in high school, and the first one left him for her BFFs, apparently because he dressed poorly and smelled, as he claimed. I mean, she let you know the problems. The second girlfriend was schizophrenic and bipolar, and that took a toll on him. I actually cared for him and loved him, unlike his birth mother, who he claimed abandoned him when he was young. After his parents were divorced, she didn't care for him either, especially after he'd turned 25. His dad, on the other hand, supported him for the most part, financially, and to a degree, emotionally, but left him on his lonesome, physically. Well, you want his dad to jerk him off or something?
Alright, fine. You can play at that game, buddy.
Yeah? Look, what are you doing?
Teaching you a lesson.
I should have said it. Truly, I felt like I was the closest thing he had to a wife, and he let it go, due to lousy excuses. What were those excuses? Well, he claimed
the Navy changed him.
Him not showering often, brushing his teeth, getting up early, and so forth, due to the Navy. Bro, if you're not showering like that on a boat, you're gonna get your ass kicked. I'll tell you that right now. Quarters are way too close for you not to be brushing your teeth, okay? Just excuses for acting like a bag of trash. We had our ups and downs, but we never fought. Yeah, your communications wasn't even good enough to have a fight. You guys just ignored each other. Not even in the weeks following our breakup did we fight. I hope no one has to bear with someone like him again or ever. Editor again, sorry for the people in the future posting stories on the Neckbeard subreddits. Sort of an inevitability, isn't it? The world keeps turning, beards keep bearding. He said that we were both to blame, but he was clearly to blame. Sorry, OP, that's not really how it works. You can have like a 90-10 split on who to blame, but it's always a two-way street. Always. After our breakup, Paradox left for a trip to Europe post-college. He texted me a few times, but he clearly just wanted attention, considering he hardly had any friends at this point. And for good reasons, as I had to find out the hard way. He sent me a guilt trip pic of him drinking because
top shelf must drink, internet is out
on Snapchat, and pics of art in museum because that's what I majored in. Even a picture of two cats in Italy on a window because I loved cats. Weird, cringe, blocked. It wasn't all bad though. Karma kicked his ass even more on that trip, and I don't entirely feel bad about that. He lost his backpack that included clothes and other tech and stuff. Paradox texted me about it as well and asked for assistance since I bought most of his clothes and he was wondering where I had gotten them. I told him the store and that was it. Finally, I asked if he was fine, and he replied with,
"Yeah, but I'm annoyed and stressed."
It seems like he's responding well. OP's not responding well. She's like, "I'm glad you were inconvenienced on your trip because we had a relationship that I didn't enjoy." Don't wish that on another human being. There's no need for that. You move on, you move past it, you block them, or you remain amicable, you know? Fairly petty story, all things considered. But continuing on. I told him that if he didn't lose his important documents, then he should be fine. Just, yeah, it would be expensive to replace his cables, clothes, bag, and anything else inside, but at least he was alive and not stranded. Paradox suddenly nearly let his anger get the best of him, claiming things along the lines of,
"I wasn't looking out for my stuff too well, just like in the relationship."
Oh, that's his roundabout way of apologizing, trying to open the door back up? Nah, dude, it's too late. He blamed several things on his ADHD and sleep disorder, but he tried not to take full accountability when he would forget or procrastinated as usual. See, that's what happens when you self-diagnose. Oh, it's not me, it's my ADHD. Well, guess what? Your ADHD is part of you, and you have to be proactive in preventing things like that. What, are you stupid or something? Yeah, he is. He is stupid. Of course, he tried to get my attention yet again, and this time 2 weeks back to back, but only for attention. At this point, I was thinking he needed a maid, not a girlfriend, and certainly not a wife. I can't believe I actually wanted to marry this guy. Yeah, that's sending me for a loop too, man. There's poop everywhere and you're cleaning it up, just scrubbing, like, I can't wait to put a ring on it.
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
What the hell? We had talked about marriage before. I really did want to marry him, but when I brought it up, Paradox only mentioned how much he wanted me to have his children. I almost want to believe he wanted someone like his angelic stepmom, not the same one he had before. She always seemed to understand me and tried to strike up conversation, but I wouldn't wish that on any girl. Any woman like that would leave almost immediately. I still haven't really gotten into this OP's head about how she tolerated all of these things. What specific brand of copium were you huffing? I figured he won't ever find someone like me again. His standards for women were extreme compared to the appearance that he was offering. Not to sound rude or anything, but he had gained a lot of weight on his trip to Europe. Yeah, that cooking in France is basically 50% butter, and I love it.
Add butter, 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 add butter.
He shaved his beard, which he was rather crucial about, only to get my attention in the text. His hygiene was abysmal, his manners were foul, and he hated most company management for making him work. Welcome to the real world. I don't know what to tell you. It's been a while now. All I can really do for now is ignore him until he's ready to talk on good terms with a clear mind, without trying to back himself with his ego and idiotic pride. I don't know if we'll ever get back together again. What? What?
You sure about that? You sure about that?
You willing to go back and clean up the doo-doo? I can't help you. I can't help you, OP. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't know if we will ever get back together again, but I want an apology for everything before and after the breakup. You're not gonna get it. He's not self-aware enough to apologize for the things that he did. Nor should you feel it's necessary, nor should you jump back into a relationship even if you do get it. What the hell did I just read? You've upset me. I'm upset now. I'm going home. Thanks for hanging out with me today, y'all. If you'd like to hear another saga about an extended failed relationship, I have that for you right here. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.
It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.